Good morning, everyone. Welcome to SAVEDNews TV and the Johnny Depp trial. Amber Heard is being on cross-examined for the second day. This is round two. Johnny Depp is arriving now, and the crowd is excited to see him.
So sweet. People will talk if they see us together again.
Let's get it this time. Morning. There you go.
Morning. How are you? Morning. How you doing?
As you can see, there's a crowd out there waiting for Johnny Depp's arrival. We're in the courtroom now waiting for them to come in. We thank you so much for joining us on SAVEDNews TV. And we're excited for part two, round two of this cross-examination. Yesterday was a total win for Johnny Depp's team because Camille Vasquez brought it. We're not taking sides, but I have to say that Miss Vasquez, she definitely brought it to the courtroom. She not only came with receipts, she just really brought it, and we're excited to see what is going to happen today, because we know that this is going to be a doozy. Now, the cross-examination could last all day, the second part, round two, and or it could be ended at lunch. We don't know. We don't know how much time Ms. Vasquez plans to cross-examine Amber Heard. Yesterday, we know that she went in from the beginning. She went in, she talked about the reason why Johnny Depp refuses to allow Amber Heard to look in his eyes. I mean, she started off with that. And I'm going to put the link in the chat for that video. Now, what we did is we did a video just of the cross-examination. Of course, we streamed all day, but we only did the full cross of Amber Heard from yesterday. And baby, it was definitely fire. She went into the reasons why Amber was not quote unquote afraid of Johnny Depp when she was sending the information to her friends. It was definitely it was a game changer yesterday, y'all. It was a game changer. That's all I can say. So in the chat, you will be able to see the video of just her cross-examination from yesterday. You can watch that later. It was fire. And today we expect it to be fire again. She came with receipts. She brought up video receipts. She brought up text receipts, the photos, which when Amber Heard said, he beat her with his fist, but she went back and said, look, you said that he had these huge rings on his fingers, and you never known him to not have the rings on his hands. You don't have any photos of this. You didn't seek any medical attention. It was fire yesterday, everybody. Fire. And while I'm commentating now, what we're going to do when the court started, we're going to drop down and let you just listen to the court proceedings. But yesterday, it was fire. Amber, it was like, Miss Vasquez backed her up in the corner, and even the sunlight from the shades shine down on Miss Vasquez. It was good. It was really good. I hope you watched it yesterday. If you missed it, there's a link in the chat. You can catch it later. And it will show you just her cross-examination. The court, we got a couple of minutes before we start, and it is going to be really good. I hope you stay with us today. Now, normally what we did when we first started streaming, we did just, 2 parts, the morning and the evening. Then we started just streaming the whole thing throughout the day. But we find that it is just too much for people because we have to play music in between. So what we'll do it in 2 parts today, like we did when we initially started. So we'll do the morning session, and then we'll start another stream afterwards. I'll drop the link in for the new stream as we set it up, because it has been set up, but we have to wait and make sure that the cross is going to continue into the afternoon. We definitely want you all to join us and stay with us. Tell us what you think. Are you Team Johnny, or are you Team Amber? Or are you like Switzerland? I'm neutral here. Tell us what you think. What did you think of yesterday, if you had the opportunity to watch it yesterday? And it was fire. It was fire, I tell you. She seemed bothered. So the court will begin in a few minutes. We were just watching them as they come in. The judge hasn't arrived, of course. And since the judge has not arrived in, she'll arrive in momentarily. And then the jury, as you know, will join. If you've been watching all this time, you know that when the court goes silent, you know that they're at the bench. The timestamps will be located in the bottom for the replay crew. And we thank you all for watching with us, because it's going to be so good today. We will not comment during the sessions, because we like to enjoy, sit back, take notes of what transpired through the day. But again, good morning, everyone. Do you have your coffee? Coffee. I have my coffee. Do you have your coffee? Get your coffee and be ready for the trial today with us. It's enlightening. And also, we want to thank okay, it looks like we're getting ready to get busy early. Okay.
All right. Do we have any preliminary matters before we have the jury? Of course we do. That's fine. Come on.
Of course, they want to approach the bench just like yesterday. It took a long time. It feels like that there was fear in the proceedings yesterday from Amber Heard's team. They just did not want to release Amber Heard to be cross-examined. And I see why. Like I said, if you watched it, the link is in the chat for you to go back, probably during lunch, and catch up if you missed it yesterday, because that is just the full cross-examination, day 1, round 1. They're going over a few things before they start this morning. Also yesterday, Amber Heard testified that she really threw her attorneys, her sister, and her PR person under the bus. She took no accountability as to her releasing. She said she did not release the photo of her alleged injuries to People magazine, and that she had gave them to her attorneys and representatives. And so Ms. Vasquez asked her, So are you telling me that your attorneys that represent you release the photo to People magazine? I'm telling you, honey, she threw her sister under the bus yesterday. She testified that her sister was the one that showed Johnny Depp how to snort cocaine through a tampon applicator. So it's definitely interesting how she threw everyone under the bus. Long as you know, since her testimony began, she has constantly disavowed everybody else's testimony, from the nurse to the police officers. And she has pretty much said that they're not telling the truth. So, and that she is, and you ought to believe her and not, the nurse, not the police officers, not Dr. Kipper, when it goes against her testimony, or anyone as far as that matter is concerned. So we just want to know how you feel about what you've been seeing so far. If you have been watching, we hope you stay tuned with us. We are going to be following this until the end. The judge gave each side an allotted amount of time to present their case. And she said, when your time is up, your time is up. And I don't care how many witnesses you have to call, it's up. And so closing arguments are to begin on the 27th of this month. And then, there's a long weekend following. It is estimated that it would take the jury approximately 2 weeks to come back with a verdict because of the amount of evidence that's been presented. Now, there's 3 options that could happen with the verdict. Number 1, Johnny Depp could win, and he wins $50 million or whatever the jury allot. The second option is that Amber Heard wins, and so she wins $100 million or whatever the court would allow her to. The third option for a verdict is it's a wash, and the jury come back and say, we don't care about either side. They're both, dysfunctional. They don't have to say that, but they can award neither side either one. Now, we know, since we've been following this trial, that Johnny Depp said the reason he has brought this trial forward is because he wants to get his name clear. The money and the verdict really doesn't matter. He wanted to get his side out. He felt that due to the op-ed article and all of the bad press over the years, the only way he could get the amount of coverage for his side is to take it to court, because it just writing one article would not be sufficient to cover all of the damage that he felt that has been done to him, as far as bad press. So again, Johnny Depp's reasoning for bringing this case is to clear his name. And as we know, that Amber Heard has countersued, and her reasoning for countersuing is because she testified yesterday, that when Johnny Depp's attorneys called her a liar and that her claims were hoaxes, that it impacted her ability to earn money, and that she was devastated and continued to live being devastated, and that her image, her name is all that she has, and that the general population have drugged her. That's pretty much, that's me, summarizing it. But they've drugged her, and as far as through the mud, they tarnished her name, and that is why she is countersuing. We are definitely interested in seeing the conclusion of the trial, see what kind of other evidence that Amber Heard has. We know that she will be calling Johnny Depp to the stand. And the reason why she's able to do that, and the reason why she is doing that, is because of her countersuit. It's also, her sister is also on the list to be called to the stand. And that is very interesting because her sister never finished her deposition. So we're wondering how this is going to play out with her sister testifying, and how the court is, if the court allows it. I know that she's on the list. So we'll see exactly how that plays out. It is going to be fun and interesting. Tell us what you think in the chat. Tell us how you feel regarding the trial thus far. We are so interested in seeing what you feel. They have had quite a long sidebar this morning, and as you know, the court mutes the mics when they are at the bench with the judge. Amber Heard also testified, when she was being cross-examined. It was asked regarding the lack of injuries, and Ms. Vasquez showed photos, videos of her, either at major events the day of or the day after, that she alleged that Johnny Depp had physically beat her. And there was no visible wounds on her in these videos or photos, whether it was the Met Gala, or whether it was a television talk show, or whether it was just plain photos. So today we will see Ms. Vasquez back on the not testifying. Ms. Vasquez will be back doing the cross-examination of Amber Heard. So generally I've noticed that it doesn't take this long when at the bench, when it's Johnny Depp's team leading instead of crossing. When it is Amber Heard's team, it's just such a delay. It's 10 past and they're still up there talking. And if you notice, if you look at the video, it's not Johnny Depp's team. Okay. Yeah. This is 10 minutes later. I hope it doesn't eat into their time. I hope it takes away from the time of those that are subjecting. So we're getting ready to bring the jury in. And once the jury comes in, I will drop down and my commentary will be over. Again, we thank you so much for joining SAVEDNews TV. For the replay crew, there will be timestamps in the bottom as the jury come in. We are elated to see this cross-examination. All righty then, let's get ready, everyone, as the jury arrives in. It's so excited. Feel free to use the chat and chat amongst yourselves.
All right.
We're streaming across several platforms.
All right, next question.
Good morning, Ms. Heard.
Good morning.
Your relationship with Mr. Depp began in October of 2011, right?
That's correct.
That the first year of your relationship with Mr. Depp was the best of times, right, Ms. Heard?
That is correct.
You testified that as far as you could tell, Mr. Depp was sober that first year.
That is correct. That's what I used to believe.
And that the first year was, quote, magic.
Yes, I always estimated it was about a year.
But now you've told this jury that Mr. Depp was being violent with you throughout 2012, haven't you, Ms. Heard?
No, he took a break in the middle of 2012 when he was sober.
You told them that he was hitting you in 2012, though. Is that right?
He was hitting me in 2012. He just took a break in the middle.
He was smashing things around you, right?
He did.
And you told them that Mr. Depp was in and out of sobriety in 2012.
That is correct.
You told this jury that, in 2012, I was in the beginning stages of this, just learning these patterns. I was learning that drinking kind of correlated with the violence, end quote. Is that right?
That is correct.
So it was during these cycles of violence in 2012 that you gave Mr. Depp a knife as a gift.
I gave him a knife, I think for a birthday present early in our relationship. I believe it was around 2012, but I'm not certain.
We've seen a picture of that knife, but I think we should bring out the real thing. Master Deputy Halusa, Master Deputy Sheriff Halusa, may I please have you show the knife to Ms. Heard?
Yes, that's it.
That's the knife you gave to the man who was hitting you, right, Ms. Heard?
I wasn't worried he was going to stab me with it when I gave it to him, that's for certain.
But you gave it to him while he was abusing you, allegedly.
I gave it to him that year.
Master Deputy Sheriff Lusa, will you please show the knife to the jury? Thank you. This is the knife you gave to the man who would get drunk and violent with you, right?
This is the same knife that I gave him as a present in 2012, yes.
Now, Ms. Heard, I'm going to need to talk to you about what happened in Australia in March of 2015. You've testified that at some point during the incident you described, you witnessed Mr. Depp bashing a phone against a wall, right?
That is correct.
You testified that the phone was breaking into pieces.
I was watching it disappear.
That Mr. Depp smashed it, I think your word was smithereens.
Yes, that is correct.
And according to your testimony, this was a wall-mounted phone in the bar area.
That is correct.
Let's take a look at Defendant's Exhibit 1820. I believe this has already been admitted into evidence, so if we could have it published. Thank you. You saw this photo during your direct examination, right?
That is correct.
And you testified that the wall-mounted phone that you saw Mr. Depp smash is on the wall on the left.
That's correct. So if you were looking at this picture, the wall-mounted phone would have been behind you on the left-hand side of your shoulder.
But it's not depicted in this photo, correct?
Whoever took this photo was standing right in front of where that mounted phone was.
That's convenient. The pieces of the phone Mr. Depp smashed aren't in this picture either, right?
You don't see it because it's whoever took this photo standing in front of that.
Whoever took this photo, it's Mr. Ben King, correct?
That's what I believe.
Yeah. Mr. King testified under oath in this trial, right?
That is correct.
And he testified that there was no wall-mounted phone smashed to smithereens that he had to replace, correct?
I didn't hear him testify to that, no.
He did. Your counsel elicited it.
I disagree with that representation.
You also saw this picture. Actually, can we please bring out Defendant's Exhibit 1821, which is also admitted into evidence? You also saw this picture during your direct examination, correct?
That is correct.
And so this is the bar area to the right of the wall-mounted phone you just described.
If you were facing in that direction, if you're facing this direction, it would be behind you.
This phone on the counter isn't the phone that got smashed to smithereens, is it?
No, they brought that out during my testimony in the UK as well, and I said this in the UK trial as well, that is not the phone, obviously, because that one's not smashed and it's not wall-mounted.
Yeah, so there are two phones in the bar area.
There was a wall-mounted phone. I don't know if it was decorative or what, but it was like it looked antique, large and antique.
And what the large and antique one that's not depicted in any photograph, including ones you took, is the one that Mr. Depp damaged, correct?
That is correct. I only took pictures of the mirrors.
So there's no picture of that damaged phone.
I didn't take a picture of it, no.
Okay. So back to the phone smashing. You watched Mr. Depp smash the phone, right?
That's correct. I watched it.
And you testified that you were, quote, watching the phone every single time he pulled his hand back, end quote.
That's correct.
And according to you, this is when Mr. Depp lost the tip of his finger, right?
It is my best guess. I didn't notice his finger come off, obviously. I was watching him smash the phone and watching the pieces break while he was doing it.
Well, it's not your best guess, Ms. Heard.
That is my best guess, yes.
Okay, let's go back to my questions. You submitted a declaration under the penalty of perjury in this case. Do you remember that?
That is correct.
Okay, let's look at that declaration.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
If we could direct your attention, Ms. Heard, to the page 14 of the declaration. Is that your signature?
Yes, it is.
And your signature appears right under the statement, quote, I declare, under penalty of perjury, under the laws of the state of Virginia, that the foregoing is true and correct.
That is correct.
And this is dated April 10th, 2019.
Correct.
Now let's look at paragraph 16, which is on page 5. Specifically line 10. Quote, you write, testify under oath, while he was smashing the phone, Johnny severely injured his finger, cutting off the top of it, end quote. Did I read that correctly?
Yes, that's correct.
So you testified in this courtroom that after Mr. Depp smashed the phone, he held you down on the countertop by the neck. Do you remember that?
I'm not quite sure of the exact sequence of things, but yes, both of those things happened.
Well, we'll get to the sequence. And this is when Mr. Depp supposedly assaulted you with a bottle, right?
On the countertop, he assaulted me.
So Mr. Depp was able to get you on the counter, right?
He held me down by my neck.
And hold you down by your neck.
That is correct.
And he grabbed a bottle, according to you, while holding you down by the neck, correct?
I'm sorry, can you clarify what you're asking me?
While Mr. Depp is holding you by the neck against the countertop, he grabs a bottle. That's your testimony.
No, those two things didn't happen at the exact same time, no.
So he's holding the bottle, is that your testimony?
He
While
was
holding
my-
you down by the neck?
Sorry. What was your question?
Your testimony is, Ms. Heard, that either he has the bottle before or after he's holding you by the neck on the counter. Is that your testimony?
He held me by the neck on the counter.
Where's the bottle that he assaulted
At what
with?
point?
While holding you down by your neck.
When he was assaulting me with the bottle, it was in his hand.
Was it in his hand before or after he holds you down by your neck?
I was being held down while he assaulted me with the bottle.
When he puts you on the counter, does he have the bottle in his hand, yes or no?
As I have always said, I don't remember exactly what happened first, or I don't remember the sequence. I just remember being aware that I was being assaulted by a bottle while I was on the countertop.
So he penetrates you with this bottle. But you don't know how he got the bottle, right?
That is correct.
And he did that right after he lost the tip of his right middle finger.
Again, I don't remember the exact sequence of those events.
We'll get to the sequence. And while he was on 8 to 10 MDMA pills, right?
Yes.
Let's talk about the sequence. This is the sequence of events you testified to in this courtroom. That he smashed the phone to smithereens and then assaulted you, lost the tip of his finger, and then assaulted you with a bottle. Yes, that's the sequence of events that you testified to. in this courtroom.
To be clear, you're putting it in order when you say words like then. I have never claimed that I can remember the exact sequence of these things. This was a multi-day assault that took place over 3 horrible days.
Ms. Hurd,
It's the worst thing ever
Ms.
happened
Hurd,
to me. I
we're
don't
not
remember
Ms.
the
Hurd,
exact
that's
sequence.
not my question. My question isn't about the 3-day assault allegedly that occurred. I'm just talking about the sexual assault that you now allege occurred.
Yes,
Okay?
correct.
Let's talk about the sequence. So you testified, actually. Yeah, I know. I just realized that. Do we have a copy? We gave it to you yesterday. Court transcript. Yes. Ms. Hurd, do you have a copy of day 16 in front of you?
Day 16? Yes, of
Court
my
transcript?
deposition?
Yes. No, of the court transcript from this trial.
Oh.
Yes.
I didn't realize that. Yeah.
Okay. Let's look at the transcript. So you testified on page, I'm getting there, 4506.
All right.
Okay. And the reason that we need to go through this, Ms. Hurd, is because we understand that these are very serious allegations that you're making, right?
It was horrible. What happened to me, yes.
Okay, so let's go through them. Page 4506, line 2 through 3. I sit here now. Apologize. You testified on page 4506. This all started when Mr. Depp took 8 or 10 pills of MDMA, right?
That is correct.
Okay. Then, directing your attention to page 4518. Line 19. You talk about Mr. Depp smashing a wall-mounted phone, correct?
That is correct.
Then on page 4519, at line 3, you testified that while Mr. Depp is smashing the phone, he is screaming, quote, "I fucking hate you," end quote, right?
Yes, he was screaming that, among other things.
And further down on page 4519, same page, lines 12 through 19, you talk about how you watched Mr. Depp smash the phone to smithereens, right?
That is correct.
Then, continuing on the same page, 4519, line 20, you say something really important. Quote, "At some point, he's on top of me. No phone, but screaming the same thing," end quote, right?
I just remember the sound, yes.
But you remember, and you testified to this jury, that he didn't have the phone in his hand anymore.
When he was assaulting me with the bottle,
Right.
he had the bottle in his hand. When he was punching the wall with the phone, he had the phone in his hand. When he was punching the wall next to my head, he had me by the throat. He did a lot of things that night.
So you're acknowledging, by this sequence, not my words, your words, Ms. Hurd, that you testified to this jury, that Mr. Depp smashed the phone to smithereens before he assaulted you. That's the sequencing in which you testified, correct?
I have never testified to a sequence.
Keep talking about that sequence. Then on page 4521, starting at line 3, you testified to being bent over backwards on the bar, right?
Okay.
Directing your attention, Ms. Heard, to page 4521, starting at line 3. You testified to being bent over backwards on the bar, right?
That is correct.
And then feeling pressure on your pubic bone like Mr. Depp was punching you. Yes?
That's what I thought.
And then further down on page 4521 and on to 4522, you testified that you were concerned Mr. Depp was using a broken bottle on you. Yes?
That was my fear.
Okay.
That's what I remember feeling.
Ms. Heard, I'm going to show you Defendant's Exhibit 1816. Which has already been admitted.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. You saw this picture during your direct examination, right?
I did.
And you testified that this is a picture of the bottles that were next to Mr. Depp on a desk when you found him drinking in the morning, right?
That's correct.
And this was the morning after Mr. Depp had allegedly sexually assaulted you, right?
It was the morning after he did assault me. Yes.
And if I understood your testimony correctly, you testified that this is the Maker's Mark bottle that Mr. Depp sexually assaulted you with.
I was never sure it was, but it was definitely that shape. Felt like that shape.
But you testified in this courtroom that you had not seen this bottle until Ben King provided these photographs, correct?
Not in the course of the trial. I hadn't seen the photograph.
You claim you had serious injuries after this alleged incident, right, Ms. Heard?
Depends on what you would call serious. For me, having a sore jaw and some bruises at the time of my relationship wasn't that serious.
Okay. Let's testify.
Relative.
Let's focus on the testimony that you gave about the injuries. Mr. Depp, as you testified yesterday, wears rings on every finger, right?
Sometimes. Often. And certainly in the later part of our relationship, that was more normal than not. But if he's filming or something like that, of course, he's not going to have his own jewelry on.
Your testimony in this trial was, quote, "I don't know if I've ever known Johnny not to wear rings." Correct?
You need to put your microphone on, Miss. Thank you.
Objection, Your Honor.
Thank
Improper impeachment. If she's going to ask her question, then she has to show where that was and then.
I'll overrule the objection. Go ahead.
Thank you. Your testimony yesterday was, quote, "I don't know if I've ever known Johnny not to wear rings." Right, Ms. Heard?
That's what I testified to, yes.
Okay. And he was wearing rings on every finger in Australia, correct?
Not all the time, not literally every single ring every single day, but he often wears rings.
Not often, Ms. Heard. Your words are, "I've never known Johnny not to wear rings on every finger."
That is what I testified to.
Okay. And you testified that you bled as a result of this sexual assault, correct?
That is correct.
All right. And you testified that your forearms were cut
My forearms and my feet.
and your feet were sliced up.
That's correct.
And you testified you had a bruise across your jaw.
That is correct.
And there is not a single medical record reflecting treatment for any of those injuries, is there, Ms. Heard?
I didn't seek treatment.
And the day after you sustained all these injuries, Dr. David Kipper came to the house in Australia, right?
Well, he came the third day along with security.
The day after you sustained these injuries, Dr. David Kipper came along with Nurse Debbie Lloyd, correct?
Well, that fight went into the morning, like early hour morning, so technically that last day.
Dr. David Kipper is Mr. Depp's, or was Mr. Depp's physician, right?
I believe he still is.
But he
Yes.
was at the time.
Yes, that's correct.
And he was also your physician.
He also saw me.
No, not saw you. He was your physician, correct, Ms. Heard?
Johnny was the client, but he also treated me.
All right, let's please pull up. Do you remember giving testimony in this case in a deposition, Ms. Heard?
Yes, I do. I've given a couple.
If we could please pull up the deposition transcript, day 2. At 589, lines 6 through 8. May I approach?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Your Honor, we're going to play Ms. Heard's deposition for the jury. lines, day 2, page 540, lines 6 through 9. If we have permission to publish it.
You gotta give me.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, day 2, page 589, lines 6 through 8.
All right, if you could just give us a minute to get
Of
there.
course.
589.
I'm sorry, what were the lines again?
Page 589, lines 6 through 8.
Wait. Did you say 540 or 589?
589, lines 6 through 8.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I have no objection, Your Honor.
And he was your doctor at this point, right?
Yes, he was.
Debbie Lloyd also came to the house that day.
Yes, she came with Kipper.
Yeah. Miss Lloyd is a nurse, correct?
That is correct.
Malcolm Connolly also came to the house that day.
Yes, that's correct.
Mr. Connolly is one of the security guards, correct?
That is correct.
You had known Mr. Connolly for years at that point.
Yes, that's correct.
You flew back to Los Angeles the next day with Ben King. Is that right?
I can't be certain if it was the next day or the day after, but somewhere around there, yes.
And the day you arrived back in Los Angeles, you saw Travis McGivern, correct?
I don't recall seeing Travis, no.
You don't recall Mr. McGivern picking you up from the airport with Ben King?
I don't remember that, no.
And the same day, you also saw your own nurse, Erin Barem Filati, that day, correct? The day you arrived in Los Angeles?
I don't recall if I saw her that day.
You saw Ms. Filati's testimony in this case by video deposition, correct?
That is correct.
And you heard her testify that she saw you the day you arrived back from Australia on March 9th, 2015.
I believe she testified that she came to dinner where I was with friends. Yeah, I believe that.
So she saw you that day.
I believe that evening I saw her at dinner.
Okay. And then you saw Erin Barem Filati again the next day for a private meeting, didn't you?
I'm not sure if that's what she testified to. I'd have to just see the records to know.
You heard her testify, according to her notes. She met with you privately on March 10th, 2015.
She met with me at some point upon my arrival, but I don't remember the exact date.
And when you were in Australia, Ms. Heard, you didn't take any pictures of the injuries you claim to have sustained, right?
I did not take any pictures, no.
But you did take 2 pictures.
Of the mirrors. I took 2 pictures of the bathroom mirrors that was the master bathroom where I was.
Let's please pull up Defendant's Exhibit 374, which is already in evidence. You took this picture, right, Ms. Heard?
Yes, that's correct.
And this is a mirror in the bathroom in Australia?
That's correct.
And this black paint on the mirror is from Mr. Depp?
That is correct.
He wrote on the mirror in black paint after his finger was cut off, right?
Yes, I only know that because there was blood as well as paint.
So you took this picture after Mr. Depp had injured his fingers, correct?
This was while I was packing, when I was leaving.
That's a
when I
yes,
took
right,
the photo.
Ms. Heard?
What's the question? I'm sorry.
You took this picture after Mr. Depp had injured his finger.
That's correct.
And you took this picture after you had allegedly been assaulted by Mr. Depp, yes?
That's correct.
Yet you didn't capture yourself in the mirror, did you?
I don't see myself in the mirror, no.
Let's please pull up Defendant's Exhibit 375. You took this picture as well, right, Ms. Heard?
That's correct.
And this is from one of the bathroom mirrors in Australia?
That's correct.
This is also a picture taken after Mr. Depp had injured his finger.
That's correct.
And this is also a picture taken after you had allegedly been assaulted by Mr. Depp.
That's correct.
You didn't capture yourself in the mirror in this picture either, did you?
I do not see myself in the mirror in that picture.
Is that because you didn't have any visible injuries on you?
It's because I was taking a picture of the writing.
Let's talk about the writing on this mirror. So the writing in black paint is from Mr. Depp, correct?
It's all from Mr. Depp.
And it's your testimony under oath that you did not write the red text that says, quote, "Call Carly Simon, she said it better, babe," end quote.
That's correct.
Because if you did write that, it means that your husband was walking around the house bleeding from his amputated finger, and you're writing snarky messages to him on a mirror, right?
I don't know what your question to me is. I'm sorry.
Let's please take a look at Defendant's Exhibit 1830. And I believe this picture is also admitted into evidence.
That's correct.
This is a picture of the same mirror, right?
That's correct.
But you didn't take this picture.
No, I did not.
This is the one that Ben King took.
And I don't see him in the mirror either.
I don't believe he claimed he had injuries, though. Is that right?
I did not hear Ben King talk about his injuries, no.
Okay. So you would agree, Ms. Heard, that the black text on the mirror says, quote, "She loves naked photos of herself. So modern, so hot."
I had not read that yet. I mean, before, but yeah, that's what it says.
But you were taking pictures of the text, but you had not read that before?
I haven't seen this. It didn't make sense to me at the time when I read it in person.
Okay. Again, Mr. Depp wrote that.
I don't know who else would have.
So, Ms. Heard, just to be clear, it's your testimony that Mr. Depp also wrote the message in red about Carly Simon saying it better, right?
That's correct.
You know Carly Simon sang the song "You're So Vain," right?
I was told that.
So it's your testimony that Mr. Depp was writing messages to himself in the mirror back and forth.
The best I can describe it is it looked like a crazy conversation. It was on the walls, it was
With
on
himself.
lampshades, it was on cushions.
It's your testimony the crazy conversation was with himself.
That's what it looked like from the bloody messages I found.
And you would agree with me that in this photograph, the red text has been smudged with black paint, right?
Yes.
Okay. Let's please pull up, if we can, Defendant's Exhibit 375 again. Black smudge isn't in this picture that you took, right?
That's correct.
So Mr. Depp must have not liked his own message to himself.
I'm not quite sure what was happening when Ben took his photograph, no.
Let's please pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 343, which is already in evidence, and play the portion from 1:57:21 through 1:58:54. It's a recording, Your Honor.
It's not to get you mad. It's just to get out of a bad situation while it's happening before it gets worse. In Australia, when we had the big fight where I lost the tip of my finger, at least 5 bathrooms and 2 bedrooms I went to
avoid talking to me, to avoid
escape
working it out. That's
to
the
escape
problem.
the fight.
You don't escape the fight. You escape the solution.
No.
You escape the solution.
No.
You escape figuring it out. We cannot work it out if you run away to the bathroom every time.
Listen to me. Listen to me. A boxer can't go 12 rounds without a fucking minute break.
I'm not giving you a minute break. You do it at minute 3 at the beginning of an argument.
No. There are rounds, man. And when it gets too fucking hairy, the ref splits them apart or whatever. But all I'm saying is, you can't have a solution if the argument just keeps mounting and mounting and mounting and mounting. I fucking go into the bathroom and sit on the floor. Bam, 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 here you come. I come out. Fight, crazy, escalated. I split again, I go to another fucking bathroom or a bedroom or something. Knock, 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 bang, bang, bang. You kept coming to get me.
This is what really happened in Australia, isn't it, Ms. Heard?
I did knock on a bathroom door on the first night.
Not a bathroom door, 5 bathroom doors and 2 bedrooms. Isn't
Johnny
that right?
is not an accurate historian of what happened during
Ms. Heard,
that
Ms.
period
Heard,
of time. I'll guarantee
Ms.
you
Heard,
that.
that's not my question. 5 bathroom doors, 2 bedrooms. That's what you knocked on. That's what actually happened in Australia, isn't it, Ms. Heard?
I was there.
So that's a
I
no?
remember it. I knocked on 1 bathroom door. I came on the first night after he decided to take the bag of MDMA.
Ms.
And I
Heard,
went to check
Ms.
on
Heard,
him and see
I'm going to
if we
move to
could-
strike everything after I knocked on 1 bathroom
She
door.
can't do that. She's answering the question.
Not quite, so I will sustain the objection. Just answer the question, okay, ma'am?
The recording we just listened to, that's exactly what happened in Australia. Mr. Depp lost the tip of his finger after you threw a bottle at him. Isn't that right?
That is incorrect.
You're the one who assaulted someone with a bottle in Australia. Isn't that right, Ms. Heard?
I didn't assault Johnny in Australia. I didn't assault Johnny ever. I couldn't.
And then after he was injured, He had to hide from you, right?
That is
In
incorrect.
5 bathrooms, 2 bedrooms.
That is incorrect.
And you would pursue him
That is incorrect.
because he was avoiding talking to you, right?
He did that first night when
he was
I tried to
avoiding-
talk to him about the drugs.
And he was avoiding working it out.
No, he was avoiding agreeing to not fight about the drugs.
You weren't scared of him at all, were you?
I have a mixed relationship with Johnny, and one in which I'm scared, one in which I love him very much.
I'm not talking about your mixed relationship. That night in Australia, after you cut off his finger with a bottle, you weren't scared of him at all, were you?
This is a man who tried to kill me. Of course it's scary. He was also my husband.
Ms. Hurd, I'm going to show you what's been marked as Defendant's Exhibit 371. Do not believe these have been admitted into evidence.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't have them.
If we can scroll down, please. No.
Ms. Bretterhoff, if you don't have your microphone on, I cannot hear you. You still don't have it on.
Redacted, oh. I need to take a look at the unredacted for a minute, Your Honor. Just bear with me.
All right.
I'm not admitting it into evidence yet. I would like to just
Okay,
talk to
yes,
the
okay.
witness about it
Go
if I
ahead.
could. Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Hurd, I'm going to show you what's been marked as Defendant's Exhibit 371. Do you recognize these text messages between you and Dr. Cowan?
I don't recognize these, no.
Who's Dr. Cowan?
He was my therapist that was recommended to me from Dr. Kipper. He and Dr. Kipper worked together.
He was your therapist at the time, correct?
That's correct.
And you had been seeing him for almost a year in March of 2015?
My guess would be about 6 months at that point.
Your text messages are in gray, correct?
Your Honor, I'm going to ask that she show her the unredacted so that she can see the text exchange back and
right,
forth
if you
if
can-
she wants to talk about
Absolutely.
All right, we'll
moving
pull that up.
unredacted
Sure.
later.
Let's go ahead.
Thank you.
Pull it up.
Seeing these unredacted messages, does this refresh your recollection that these are indeed communications between you and Dr. Cowan?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Doctor, your text messages are in gray, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And Dr. Cowan's are in blue?
That is correct.
Okay. Do you see the text message at the bottom of the page from March 8th, 2015 at 8:29 p.m.?
Yes, that's correct.
March 8th is the day that you were allegedly sexually assaulted by Mr. Depp in Australia, correct?
That is correct.
So on March 8th, 2015, you were in Australia,
That is correct.
and Mr. Depp's finger had just been cut off, right?
That is correct.
And you write to Dr. Cowan, quote, "I feel so lost. I can't talk. I don't know if I'll ever be able to change," end quote. Did I read that correctly?
That's correct.
You weren't able to change, were you, Ms. Hurd?
I very much wanted to leave the relationship I was in, but I didn't have the power. I didn't feel I had the power to leave. I knew I was in a very toxic relationship with Johnny, and I knew I needed to change that. I knew it was, at this point, horrible for me. And I
I'm gonna
talked to
move
my
to
therapist
admit
often about that.
Defendant's Exhibit 371 as redacted with just Ms. Hurd's messages.
All right.
Your Honor, I object because she has left out the next 2 lines from Ms. Hurd that clarify even further, and I also think
Ms.
that Dr.
Brettelhoff,
Cowan's
Your Honor, may we
Yeah,
please
let's go.
approach?
Let's-
This is So, Your Honor, I'm going to move to admit Defendant's Exhibit 371 as redacted.
All right, 371 in evidence as redacted, over objection. Yes, ma'am.
If we can publish that to the jury, thank you. So you write, Ms. Heard, to Dr. Cowan, I feel so lost. I can't talk. I don't know if I'll ever be able to change. Right?
And I said I clearly can't figure this out, meaning the relationship.
You didn't say that. You said,
I did.
Not the relationship. Your text messages, clearly I can't figure this out. I feel so lost right now.
What I was saying to him is
No, Ms.
clearly
Heard,
I can't
Ms.
figure
Heard,
this out.
Ms. Heard,
as in
that's
the
not my question.
relationship.
The text, just the text.
That's exactly what I was saying.
What you texted. Clearly, I can't figure this out. I feel so lost right now.
That's what
right.
I was saying.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Heard, you contend?
Your Honor, just for clarification, so those two next lines did come in?
They are in the redacted
Okay,
copy.
good. All right, thank you.
Ms. Heard, you contend that there's another incident of abuse in March of 2015 after you and Mr. Depp returned from Australia. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And this incident took place on March 23rd, 2015?
That's correct.
And this supposedly occurred in the penthouse at the Eastern Columbia building?
That's correct.
You had found text messages between Mr. Depp and another woman, right?
That is correct.
So you confronted him about cheating on you.
That's correct.
And this was about 2 weeks after you had returned from Australia.
That's correct.
So this is shortly after Mr. Depp supposedly sexually assaulted you with a bottle, right?
It was 2 weeks after he assaulted me, yes.
And you decided to confront him about cheating on you?
I didn't decide to. I wanted to.
Mr. Depp's finger was freshly injured at this point, right?
He had a cast on it.
The top of his right finger had been cut off 2 weeks prior.
That is correct.
And he had a pin in his finger, true?
I don't recall when the pin was placed.
A skin graft?
I'm not quite sure. He had several different procedures and they were kind of spread out over a period of time. So I don't remember what happened and when
One of those
exactly.
procedures was to treat the MRSA that got on his finger too, right?
At some point, I knew he had an infection.
And his right hand was in a bandage, right?
It was casted.
So it's your testimony that Mr. Depp was able to attack both you and your sister with his hand in that state, right?
That is correct. He had a hard plaster cast on it.
Debbie Lloyd was present in the penthouses when Mr. Depp supposedly attacked you. Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
In fact, you claim that Mr. Depp threw a Red Bull can at Miss Lloyd that evening.
Yes, that's correct.
And you put in a sworn statement to that effect in the UK case, right?
That is correct.
But that's not true, is it?
That's what happened.
You know what a deposition is, right, Ms. Heard?
I've had several, yes.
Yeah, so you know what it's when someone provides testimony under oath.
That is correct.
You're aware that Miss Lloyd was deposed in connection with this case, correct?
That is true.
And Miss Lloyd's deposition testimony was played earlier in this trial, right?
I'm going to object, Your Honor. May we approach?
All right.
So in a deposition, Ms. Heard, you know it's when someone provides testimony under oath, right?
That's correct.
And you're aware that Miss Lloyd was deposed in connection with this case.
That's correct.
And Miss Lloyd's deposition testimony was played earlier in this trial.
Yes.
So you heard Miss Lloyd testify under oath that Mr. Depp never threw a can of Red Bull at her.
I can't remember if she didn't recall that or if she said it didn't happen. I don't remember. I vaguely sense she didn't recall anything.
So it's your testimony that Miss Lloyd would forget that Mr. Depp, a very famous patient of hers, threw a can of Red Bull that nearly missed her, according to your version of events?
To be fair, I just don't remember if she said when she testified that she didn't recall that incident or if it didn't happen. I don't remember what she testified to, but I have a vague sense that she didn't recall much at all.
She recalled, and she testified in this courtroom, that Mr. Depp never threw a can of Red Bull at her. That was her testimony, wasn't it?
I don't recall what her testimony was with regards to that one incident, no.
You actually filed a complaint against Miss Lloyd's nursing license right before she was supposedly deposed in this case, didn't you?
No, I don't believe I did.
Are you aware that someone filed a complaint against Miss Lloyd's nursing license in connection with her care of Mr. Depp for failing to report abuse?
No, I had no idea. You're the first person to let me know about that.
It's your testimony under oath, that wasn't you?
But that is my testimony. I didn't even know about that until now.
Travis McGivern was also present when Mr. Depp supposedly attacked you, correct?
He walked in at some point.
And you heard his testimony that it was actually you who punched Mr. Depp. Isn't that right?
It's always been my own testimony that I hit Johnny.
And you who was throwing things at Mr. Depp.
I hit him in defense of my sister. I didn't have anything to throw at him. I never threw anything at him. I hit him when he attacked me and my sister, specifically when he moved for her. That's when I hit him.
So it's your testimony under oath. You threw nothing at Mr. Depp. Mr. McGivern's lying.
I have thrown things at Johnny, to be clear, but not that occasion.
That evening.
Not on that occasion.
So it's your testimony, Mr. McGivern imagined that you were throwing things at Mr. Depp from the mezzanine level down towards where Mr. Depp and Mr. McGivern were standing.
Well, he certainly wasn't going to say it about his client.
Ms. Heard, you and Mr. Depp kept a journal together, didn't you?
Yes, we did.
You wrote each other messages in that journal, right?
That is true.
If we could please pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 91. I'm only going to be showing you certain portions of this, so if we could please call this Plaintiff's Exhibit 91A. This is the journal that you and Mr. Depp kept with each other in electronic form, correct?
That is correct.
And if we could scroll through, these are all entries that you made in the journal, correct?
Is it done?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I'm going to move for the admission of Plaintiff's Exhibit 91A, and I've gone ahead and redacted Mr. Depp's writings as on hearsay grounds.
I'm going to object, Your Honor. May we approach?
Okay.
Let's start with the first page. It's a picture.
Your Honor,
It's a picture.
they haven't given me the pages yet. Your Honor.
Writing them down.
Sorry, Judy.
Let's write them down first.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yeah, all right.
If we could please publish this to the jury.
91A in evidence.
Thank you.
Over objection.
This is a picture that's on the inside cover of the Love notebook, correct?
That's correct.
And this is a picture of you and Mr. Depp?
That's correct.
And you're in Australia in this picture, aren't you?
Yes, but that's much later once we returned.
You can see that Mr. Depp's right hand is bandaged, right?
Yes, that's correct. That was after it had recovered significantly. That's not what it looked like during the incident we were just talking about.
So this is a picture after the events in Australia in March of 2015, correct?
Yeah, yes, that photograph was taken months later.
We have the jury look at that photograph again, please. Let's now turn to page 3. This is a note you wrote in the journal to Mr. Depp, correct?
That's what it looks like, yes.
This is actually the first note you wrote to him in this journal.
I don't remember what the first note was.
The date on this note is May 22nd, 2015, correct?
That is correct. That was during our honeymoon period.
This is just a little bit over 2 months after the events in Australia in March of 2015, right?
That's correct. We were back in a honeymoon phase. That was the period of sobriety I spoke about yesterday.
When after Mr. Depp had allegedly assaulted you with a bottle, right?
It was after the stairs and it was after the Australia incident, yes. And he got clean and sober and we went back to Australia.
So it's also 2 months after you punched Mr. Depp because you allegedly thought he was going to throw your sister down the stairs, right?
I hit him when he swung at my sister. And this is written months later, yes.
You thought he was going to throw your sister down the stairs like he had thrown Kate Moss down the stairs, right?
He swung at Whitney, and I had heard a vague rumor about that. And so it's what I thought of.
In this first message to Mr. Depp in your journal, you write, quote, "True love isn't about just the madness of passion or instead picking the safety of peace. No, it's about having both, falling madly in love with your friend. That is what has surprised me perhaps the most, that I have seen in you the true bones of friendship and respect. But of course, I still, perhaps more than ever, want to rip you apart, devour you, and savor the taste. Fret not. XX Slim."
Yes, it's a love note.
Did I read that correctly?
Yes, you did.
And you're Slim, right?
That's correct.
Ms. Hurd, I'm now going to ask you to take a look at the very last entry you wrote in this journal, which seems to be from April 8th. That would be April 8th, 2016, correct?
I'm not quite sure. I don't see the year written on there, and I don't recognize it yet.
It would be a couple weeks. April 8th would be a couple weeks before your birthday, though, right?
That's correct.
Just to confirm, this is a note you wrote to Mr. Depp, right?
That's what it looks like, yes.
And on the second page of this note, you wrote the following. Quote, "I'm sorry I can get crazy. I'm sorry I hurt you. Like you, I can get wicked when I am hurt, when I feel provoked, shattered. And last night I was. I felt abandoned about the Lily Rose thing, felt absolutely bewildered about your not coming home on my last night here, and was heartbroken and angry after many attempts in vain on my part to rectify the situation and make amends on the last night of what was otherwise a gorgeous trip with you. I am so sorry for my part. None of this is meant to be an excuse for hurting you, because the truth is, nothing is. There is never a reason good enough to hurt you. You are the last thing in the whole world who deserves it. Last person I ever meant to hurt. I love you, Steve. I am forever yours, Slim." Did I read that correctly?
That's correct.
Thank you. Ms. Hurd, let's take a look at Defendant's Exhibit 423, which is already in evidence. This is a picture of you with what appears to be straight red marks on your arms, correct?
Those are scars from the broken glass.
And they're straight and red, right?
I disagree with how you characterize that, but they are red, yes.
And they're on your left arm?
Yes, that's correct.
Ms. Hurd, you have a history of cutting yourself, don't you?
I do not.
You cut your arm once as a teenager, isn't that right?
No, I said I wanted to. When I was put on birth control pills when I was a teenager, I felt crazy, and I said I felt suicidal.
Since your testimony under oath that you didn't report to Dr. Hughes, your retained psychologist, that you had cut yourself as a teenager once?
I said I had told my mom that I wanted to when I was a teenager.
Ms. Hurd, we heard some testimony from you yesterday about a trip you and Mr. Depp took on a train in Southeast Asia. Do you recall that?
Yes, that's correct.
That was when you and Mr. Depp went on your honeymoon trip, correct?
That's correct.
And that was in July of 2015?
Yes, that sounds right.
Let's take a look at Plaintiff's Exhibit 162, which is already in evidence. You were here in this courtroom, right, Ms. Hurd, when Malcolm Connolly testified to taking this picture?
That's correct.
This is the picture. This picture shows an injury to Mr. Depp's face, doesn't it?
I disagree. I've seen this picture.
Okay, Ms. Hurd,
I've seen
I
this
got
picture
the answer. Thank
before,
you.
and
You
he's
disagree.
not injured in it.
He's not injured in this picture. That's your testimony. Fine.
This one is Photoshopped.
Ms. Hurd, I have your answer. Thank you. This is the only photograph from your honeymoon that shows someone with an injury, correct?
That's not true.
We haven't seen any photos of injuries to your face from that train trip, have we?
I don't believe my face was injured on that trip.
Let's take a look at Exhibit 91A at page 46, going back to the Love Journal. This is a note from you to Mr. Depp, right?
That is correct.
This is a note you wrote on July 22nd, 2015.
That is correct.
And it starts off with the words, "My husband, happy honeymoon," right?
That's correct.
Ms. Hurd, please take a look at Plaintiff's Exhibit 91A at page 67. This is another note from you to Mr. Depp in your journal, right?
That is correct.
And this one is dated August 1st, 2015.
That's correct.
And you write, "That's enough. You've held this book hostage long enough. Although I can't wait to read my note, I also couldn't wait to tell you how much I adore you. What a beautiful, extraordinary, magical, memorable, wonderful, stunning, surprisingly evolving, and impulsive adventure. I couldn't have imagined a more gorgeous honeymoon. I love you more and more every passing day. XX Slim." Did I read that right?
That is correct.
Let's take a look at the journal entry starting on page 68. This is another entry from you writing to Mr. Depp, right?
That is correct.
And this one's dated August 2nd.
That is correct, yes.
And this one is a longer one, so let's go to where it ends on page 70 of the journal. And you write, quote, "I hope the things said in anger and pain were just that, and that you miss and love me too. And that is what matters most to you. You may say you stand by everything you said and did, and that there is nothing you can learn from this, but I don't feel that way. And it's important for me that you know that. I love you and I'm sorry. I miss my warm, loving husband, XX Slim."
That is correct.
And sad, the word sad is crossed out.
That is true.
Next, we have a journal entry from you on page 89. This is another note from you to Mr. Depp.
That is correct. The whole book is love notes.
So this is dated August 15th, correct?
That is correct.
And here you write, quote, "My love, why do we fight? Ever? Why? I love you more than anything else. Are we that uncomfortable with being vulnerable? Were we scared? Or is it something else? I don't know. But I am sure of one thing, and if it's that I can't imagine my life without you. I love you. I will do better. I am sorry. X Slim." Did I read that correctly?
That is correct.
It's your testimony this was a love journal?
That is correct. It was primarily love notes and
apology notes from you to Mr. Depp?
The book was more of a love note book, and part of that communication, obviously, since we fought so much, it was important for me to, try to nurture as much peace as we possibly could. And when things were good, they were really good.
And it was also an opportunity for you to apologize to Mr. Depp for your behavior, isn't it?
I think it's important in every relationship to apologize when you're trying to move past fights.
Let's look at an entry from August 17, 2015, starting on page 90. Here you write, quote, "I'm sorry I shook the wheels so hard. I'm sorry we've tested the shocks and brakes to this point. God damn, I love you, Johnny. I love you. I am tied to you forever, you know that? So I'm tasked with making this work for that reason and many others, of which there are many. Let me try to fix this. Let me try to patch this. Let me try to make your heart better. You deserve it. Hell, maybe even I do. I need you. We need each other. You're my cornerstone, my heart, my all. You are my life. I hate it when we fight. I hate having you hurt. I hate that you're hurting. I love you more than anything. Let me prove it. I need you. I love you. Slim." Did I read that correctly?
Yeah, another example of me trying to fix it. I was always trying to fix it.
Fix it by apologizing for your bad behavior?
I tried everything. I tried apologizing, I tried reading, I tried therapists, I tried everything to fix it.
But yet you couldn't change like you told Dr. Cowan, right?
I couldn't change my relationship.
Okay. Let's talk about December 15th, 2015 again. Erin Filati, your personal nurse, saw you 2 days after the incident on December 15th, 2015. Isn't that right?
She did not see me as in a medical visit. She just dropped off meds late at night.
She saw you personally, though, right?
She physically saw me, but did not see me in a medical sense, the way a doctor might see a patient. She did not see me in that way.
She was your personal nurse, right?
She was a nurse assigned to me. I didn't hire her. Johnny did.
She was assigned to you, and so when she would see you, it would be physically in person in your home and traveling, correct?
She would sometimes see me as like a medical professional would, and then other times she would just drop off meds and physically see me, like as in with her eyes.
You testified that during the incident on December 15th, 2015, Mr. Depp broke the bed, correct?
That is correct.
And more specifically, you described that he broke the bed frame with his boot while trying to get purchase. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Let's take a look at Defendant's Exhibit 509, which is already in evidence. If we could please have that published to the jury. Thank you. Ms. Hurd, this is a picture that you indicated depicts the broken bed, right?
That's exactly it.
And it's your testimony that Mr. Depp caused this damage to the bed with his boot, right?
He did.
Is that a pocket knife on the bed there?
I cannot tell what's on the bed.
Did you use that to damage the bed?
I did not damage the bed. Johnny's boot did when he was punching me. I could feel him slipping.
Mr. You also testified that there was blood all over the pillows on the bed, correct?
On the pillow top, yes. That's correct.
But you didn't take a picture of that, though, did you?
I did not take a picture of this.
About a week after the December 15th, 2015 incident, you went with Mr. Depp and his children to the island of the Bahamas. Is that correct? To celebrate Christmas?
The incident was on the 15th, and we went on the 23rd, I believe.
While you were there, you did a photo shoot with Greg Williams, correct?
A few days later, I think the photo shoot was about 2 weeks after this assault.
Let's please pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 99. This is a photograph of you on Mr. Depp's island shortly after December 15, 2015, correct?
No, this was taken weeks later.
On the island, on that trip?
It was taken on the island.
On that trip?
Yes.
Weeks later?
Weeks later.
December 15th, you traveled to the island December 23rd? That's your
It's
testimony?
my recollection that this picture was taken on New Year's Eve or the first day of the year. I think New Year's Eve.
And this is the photo shoot with Greg Williams, correct?
That is correct.
I'm going to move to admit and publish.
No objection?
All right, 99, you can publish.
Can we please have a zoom in to Ms. Heard's face? Thank you, Tom. Let's please pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 100. I'm going to move to admit and publish.
No objection.
All right, 100 in evidence, you can publish.
Ms. Heard, this is another picture of you from that photo shoot, correct?
Yes, this is the same photo shoot that you asked me about earlier, and this is several weeks later.
Right. If we could zoom in on Ms. Heard's face. Thank you, Tom. Let's please pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 101. And I'm going to move to admit and publish.
Any objection?
Can we just have the foundation first, please?
This is a picture from the photo shoot, Ms. Heard, that was taken on the island.
This is the same photo shoot, yes.
Then no objection, Your Honor.
All right, 101 in evidence, you can publish.
If we could please zoom in, excuse me, Tom, on Ms. Heard's face. Is your testimony, Ms. Heard, that you were wearing makeup for this photo shoot?
That is correct. It's a photo shoot.
If we could please pull up Exhibit 102. Ms. Heard, is this another picture from the photo shoot?
I can't exactly tell from the background. It looks like the same thing, but I can't really tell without it being zoomed out.
This is a picture of you, though, right?
It is a picture of me, yes.
I'm going to move to admit and publish.
All right, any objection?
I'm not going to object because she identified herself. I just, if she could identify when it was taken, that would help. But I'm not going to object. I'm not
No,
gonna object.
no objection.
No objection.
Okay, there we go. 102 in evidence, you can publish.
Let's please pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 103.
03.
Ms. Heard, this is yet another picture of you from that Greg Williams photo shoot, correct?
That is correct. This is from the same shoot.
I'm going to move to admit and publish.
No objection.
All right, 103 in evidence, publish.
And again, if we could zoom in on Ms. Heard's face. And finally, if we could please pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 104. And Ms. Heard, this is a picture of you from that photo shoot, correct?
Again, this is the same photo shoot weeks later.
I'm going to move to admit and publish.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, 104 in evidence, thank you.
Again, if we could zoom in on Ms. Heard's face. Thank you, Tom. You testified that you and Mr. Depp got into a fight while on the island in December of 2015, correct?
That's correct.
And this all started because you perceived Mr. Depp as nodding off during the trip, right?
I thought he was passing out again in a similar fashion to what he had done the previous year.
And when he nodded off, he spilled wine on you, correct?
Yeah, 2-3 times in a row.
You testified that Mr. Depp's son, Jack, was there when this happened, right?
At the beginning, he was there.
He was there when Mr. Depp allegedly spilled wine on you 2 or 3 times, right?
He was there for that because he offered me help.
Right. You also testified that Mr. Depp then sexually assaulted you in the bathroom, correct?
That's correct.
And you testified that after this, you needed to get away from him, right?
That is correct.
So you ran out of the house.
That's correct.
And you admit you threw something at him, right?
I did throw something at him to get away.
You sat in this courtroom when Tara Roberts testified, right, Ms. Heard?
I did.
She's Mr. Depp's manager on the island.
Yes, that's correct.
You heard her testify that she witnessed an argument between you and Mr. Depp on the island in December of 2015, right?
Yes, that's correct, yes.
And you heard her testify that Mr. Depp was trying to escape you, right?
I don't know if she characterized it like that, but that was the gist of it. She kind of misrepresented it to seem like that, yes.
She misrepresented it. How convenient.
That's correct.
Okay, and then you kept apologizing to Mr. Depp, right? That's what
No, that's
Ms.
not
Roberts
correct.
said? Begging him to come back to the house with you.
That's not correct.
Clawing at him. She used those words.
That's not correct. When she interrupted us, Johnny had me by the hair.
Yelling at him.
We were screaming, both of us, but I don't know what she would have heard.
And that she observed an injury on Mr. Depp's nose from something that you threw at him, right?
I don't know what she observed.
You also heard Ms. Roberts testify that she included all this information in a sworn statement in the UK in May of 2020. Isn't that right?
That is correct.
You put in a witness statement in response to Ms. Roberts' statement in June of 2020. Isn't that correct? In the UK?
I did several, I think 7 witness statements, and each one contained different information as per recent filings. That's what counsel has you do in that.
In response to
case.
Previous filings, correct? Including testimony from people that contradict your story?
Sort of. So what you have to do is your counsel asks you to respond to things, and you put it in a declaration of sorts, and that happens back and forth over the course of preparing to go to trial in that country, and that's what I did.
So that was your 5th witness statement submitted in the UK.
I don't recall which one I was asked to comment on Tara Roberts' testimony.
I'll remind you. If we could have Ms. Heard's 5th witness statement from the UK.
Yes, ma'am. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Directing your attention, Ms. Heard, to page 6 of your 5th witness statement. It's here that you describe the December 2015 incident, correct, on the island?
I haven't read through the statement. I just don't know if I had commented on it before. In a previous witness statement, as I said, there were several.
But starting on page 6, Ms. Heard, you describe the incident that took place on the island, correct?
That's correct, but what I'm trying to say is
I
I'm not sure if
understand.
I'd describe it in full in this statement.
Okay. I'm going to show you your confidential schedule to the 5th witness statement that accompanied the 5th witness statement in the UK.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
the confidential schedule to your fifth witness statement, paragraph 1 on page 21, you describe Mr. Depp sexually assaulting you in the Bahamas of December 2015, right?
That is correct.
And that's the first time you ever claimed that Mr. Depp had sexually assaulted you in the Bahamas.
That is incorrect.
You only submitted the confidential schedule in the UK claiming Mr. Depp had sexually assaulted you after Miss Roberts had said that she saw you on the island chasing, clawing at Mr. Depp. Isn't that correct?
That is incorrect.
We could please pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 394. So, Your Honor, this is another recording I can represent to the court. This only contains Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard's voices. I'm going to move to admit the entire recording. I'm only going to play from 1:17:44 through 1:20:02.
All right, any objection?
Which plaintiff exhibit, Your Honor?
394.
394.
I think I have no objection.
All right, I'll go with that. All right, 394 in evidence.
Thank you, Your Honor.
What things have you been doing?
Working on this thing, not doing this sort of thing, trying to change something. That's last several times, especially.
Hence, screaming when I spilt wine accidentally on you for falling asleep, and screaming in front of my kids and freaking Jack out. And that's trying.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, Johnny.
That fucked him up, you know.
I'm sorry I fucked your son up.
No, it weirded him out. He'd never.
I'm so sorry I fucked your kids up.
You didn't fuck my kids up, but it was pretty fucking. It was pretty fucking weird for him, you know.
Because I jumped up and screamed because I wanted. No, that's amazing.
Yeah.
You're right. I'm surprised he's. For the council. I'm sure that's terrifying.
I don't need your
No,
your clever
it's not against me again.
comebacks.
It's so-
No,
Your-
you think
your-
you're controlling yourself.
Your character
You
is-
think you're controlling
Your
yourself.
character has become so clear, especially when you use them. It's embarrassing for you. I'm gonna walk away now because you're actually making me seem even worse. And believing me, I'm not gonna be calling you at 3 o'clock in the morning after I have an Ambien and think, oh, I'm gonna just fucking forgive and move on. Trust me, it is gross how you're using your kids. I've done nothing but be there for them in a good way. And if you take that for granted, fine. You're right. Meet a woman who would not jump up and scream if she'd been spilled on 3 times in a row. And I hope you're happy with whoever that is, because that would be a special kind of fucking person, no doubt.
It's you and Mr. Depp in that recording, right?
That's correct.
And you're discussing what happened in the Bahamas in December of 2015, right?
No, that's not correct. We were discussing a part of it.
You're discussing when you screamed at Mr. Depp in front of his children, correct?
No, we were talking about a part of that argument.
Including when you screamed at Mr. Depp in front of his children.
That's not a fair characterization of what happened.
Mr. Depp says you screamed at him when he accidentally spilled wine on you, correct?
I realize that's what Johnny said.
Yeah, and Mr. Depp tells you that this freaked out his son, Jack.
Johnny often used other people to back him up in our arguments.
You don't seem too concerned about that, do you?
I had a lot of concerns.
You don't mention Mr. Depp sexually assaulting you in this recording, do you?
That was not the point of that conversation. If I had gotten into the details of what happened to me with him, it would have been another fight.
You just accused Mr. Depp of, quote, using his kids, right? In that
He
recording.
would often
misheard.
use other people, yes.
And you challenge him to find a woman who will not, quote, jump up and scream if she has been spilled on 3 times in a row.
That is correct.
Not a woman who would put up with sexual abuse, right?
I was pointing out the ridiculous nature of him expecting me not to react to something that basic.
Your Honor, would this be a good time for a break?
All right, we can do that. That's
Thank
fine.
you, Your Honor.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and take our morning recess for 15 minutes. Do not discuss the case with anybody. Don't do any outside research. We'll see you in 15, okay? Let's go ahead and come back at 10:47 then. All right, 10:47. Thank you.
All right.
All right, everyone. They're at break now, going on break. So we're going to chat a little bit. I think one of the goals of Ms. Vasquez and the cross this morning was to show that Amber blames everyone, or everyone is confused with their statement other than her. So what do you think? Do you think that this was part of her strategy this morning? Or do you think that she had another mission to during her cross-examination? One thing that sort of stood out to me was the diary entries that she was making, the love notes, and it appears that she was continuously apologizing for hurting Johnny. I don't know whether that was physically or emotional hurt, but she did continuously apologize to him. She also, another interesting point during this time was when she went over the alleged SA. And that was, you were penetrated. You stated that you were penetrated with the bottle. Did he have his hand on your neck at that time when he pushed you down? You stated that he was beating the phone and his finger was dislodged. And then he put his hand around your neck and then penetrated you with the bottle. I think it's also interesting and convenient that she doesn't testify to the sequence of these events that she states that occurred. Now, everybody's memory is different, so I'm not going to say that she doesn't remember, but it's interesting that the sequence of events she has never testified to and always have another explanation as to how it happened. She know it happened, but she doesn't remember the sequence. What happened first? Did he beat the phone? Did his finger dislodge first? Or did before he allegedly penetrate you with the bottle, you did not know that the bottle was broken or not, but you felt that it was, and you did not seek medical attention? I'm going to say this as a woman, and if any women are online with us today, please chime in the chat. As a woman, if your private areas is penetrated with a bottle, whether it's broken or not, and you see blood, I personally, let me speak on me, would immediately seek some type of medical attention. You would not know whether or not your reproductive or is damaged, or what is damaged inside you internally by being penetrated with a bottle, especially if you saw blood. I mean, even if you didn't see blood, as a woman, I would immediately seek some type of medical attention to my body. Ladies, I know, want you to chime in and say whether you would have sought medical attention. I find it is really strange that that occurred according to her testimony, and she did not seek any type of medical attention. That is really weird. She testified that there had been times when she and Johnny discussed having children, and that if that was something her desire, then of course, if he penetrated her with a bottle, she would, I would seek medical attention. That is the most baffling part for me of her testimony regarding that entire incident. I just cannot understand not seeking medical attention. So, ladies, tell me if you would have sought medical attention or not during that course, if that, truly happened. I just, that's just, I know I'm not going to go graphic, but we know that that is a very sensitive area of our body, and any damage to that area is very important, and we do take care of that area of our bodies. So tell me what your thoughts on that is. And I am totally I'm totally baffled that she did not seek any medical attention on that. Also, as you notice, she stated that on the island, the last part of the testimony, that he again SA'd her. I think this time, I don't know, I remember testimony previously that it was with his finger. But remember now, he wears these big chunky rings. Without me sounding graphic, I don't know what she got going on down there. If all of this is happening to you, a bottle, you don't get help, a man with big chunky rings is, penetrating you, and you don't, seek medical attention. I don't understand. Ladies, help me. Help me to understand this. I don't understand how she, as a woman, in one of the most sensitive areas of your body, receive all this alleged trauma to your genitalia, and there is no seeking of a medical attention. She says she's never known him not to have his rings on. I'm not saying that she did testify whether or not he had the rings on at that time, but I can't get in. I can't understand the thought pattern of not receiving some form of medical attention. Help me to understand, because I do not understand. Additionally, she has testified to him physically slapping her during this time, and they continuously bring up photos. There's no bruising, there's no nothing, there's no swelling, but he's wearing big chunky rings. If someone is wearing but big chunky rings, even if they open hand slap you, then there's a ring here. It might not always leave a mark, but at some point, sometimes it's going to leave a mark. It's going to bring up swelling. I just don't understand it. And she took pictures going back to the night that his finger was dislodged. She took pictures of the mirror, but she testified that she had been he had beat her with his hands on her face. She had swelling, but she takes a picture of the mirror, but she's not in the photo. Why wouldn't you take a picture of yourself? She took all these pictures. Why wouldn't you take a picture of yourself? I understand you taking a picture of the crazy that's written on the mirror, but why wouldn't you take a picture of yourself if you were beaten? She's testified over the course of time that she has had, she felt like she had a broken nose. Now, in her industry, her face is her money. Her face is her money because she's an actress. If you have a broken nose, you're not going to seek medical attention. If you feel like you have a broken nose, you're not going to go to the doctor to check and make sure. Also, if your nose is broken, most people, I'm not saying in every situation because I'm not a doctor, but the eyes are red. The eyes swell if you have a broken nose. I am not understanding why she is not seeking absolutely no medical attention. She describes these horrific altercations that had happened. However, she is saying, oh, but I never needed medical attention. I'm confused, ladies and gentlemen. I am thoroughly and utterly confused. Again, like I said, we try to take a neutral position in these things like this because we were not there. But we have to be able to judge the evidence. It's amazing that everyone is telling a lie other than her, the nurse, the police officers. I mean, everybody, the doctor, the island manager, she remembered wrong, and this person remembered wrong. I don't remember her stating this way, and it's just too much. I mean, I have watched every day of this trial and listened to different testimonies on both sides, and she has since and also all of her testimony. The only thing that she has admitted to was the hitting him on that incident as far as physically. And that's because there was witnesses there. But anything that she says that happened, that there was no witnesses there, then it appears that she is not taking any responsibility, any accountability. Everybody is wrong. Everybody's memory is fogged. Help me to understand, why is it everybody is remembering things? Their memory is fogged. They didn't testify it like that. But her memory is the only one that's correct. It's amazing. It really, truly is amazing. And I cannot stand with what she's saying as truth when she refuses to take any accountability for anything. I mean, even when she says that she yelled at yelled at him in front of his children, it was still his fault. Yes, it's his fault that you yelled. You spilled wine on me 3 times and I yelled, but it's your fault. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. And one thing that you all can help me with is help me understand that. Additionally, we want to talk about her counsel. And there's a certain etiquette for court procedures. And her counsel, Elaine, is constantly objecting. First of all, she don't turn on her mic. Secondly, she is objecting and testifying into court things that have not been admitted as evidence. And I know that this is getting really, really on Ms. Vasquez's last nerve, I'm sure, and the other attorneys, because she's been doing this. She's done this since the beginning. But there is an etiquette in court that needs to be followed as far as objection, how you approach the bench. There's certain conversations you don't have in front of a jury, and they have not been vetted by the judge. And even when the judge, she objects, the judge make their ruling, and she argues with the judge. Now that's, that can happen sometimes, but it just seems that it is, out of the norm at the rate that she is doing things. So I'm just saying we want to have an open mind here, but the evidence and the things that's being presented, I think that if Amber Heard loses this case, it's going to be based on her testimony. Amber Heard is losing this case for Amber Heard. And that is, that is the plain truth. Hope you all get your cup of coffee. She doesn't appear to be credible. Her, I'm sure somewhere in there is some truth. However, there are too many people that have testified and that have given their account of events. And, multiple people on the same occasion that see something or hear something totally different than what she's testified to. And she still says that they're mistaken. Even when she hears her own audio that she has stated, she reads her own deposition, she reads her own statements, there's a spin to it. It's just too much. It's too much. If she sticks to
jury.
Okay, so here we go.
Okay.
Let's get back to it.
All right, thank you. You be seated. All right. Your next question.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Heard, you've testified repeatedly that you were concerned about Mr. Depp's substance use during your relationship, right?
Yes, that's correct.
But you weren't concerned enough to stop using drugs and alcohol yourself, were you?
I did not use drugs when I was with Johnny, like in his presence, aside from the times I testified about with you.
So you weren't concerned enough to stop using drugs and alcohol the times you testified to in front of this jury, right?
As I testified to earlier, I took drugs in Johnny's presence on those 2 occasions early in our relationship in 2013.
So you never changed your own behavior to support Mr. Depp in his sobriety, did you?
I did a lot of changing to support his sobriety. I tried everything that I could possibly think of.
But you drank wine around Mr. Depp on a regular basis, correct?
I did drink wine.
And you took Mr. Depp to Hicksville to do, quote, laughy drugs like mushrooms, end quote, right?
That's correct.
And you testified that despite what supposedly happened in Hicksville, you decided to take MDMA with Mr. Depp on a plane to Russia in June of 2013, correct?
As I mentioned, those are the 2 occasions.
You testified that this was the last time you would make that mistake, right?
That is correct.
And when asked if you would ask Mr. Depp to get you MDMA in Australia, you said that was, quote, ridiculous, right?
That is correct.
Because you had learned your lesson the hard way on the plane to Russia.
Russia, yes, that's correct.
Yours and Mr. Depp's wedding in the Bahamas was in February of 2015, right?
That is correct.
So that would have been after the Russia flight.
Yes, when I did, when we had mushrooms on the island for my hen party, my wet bridal party before. We were not with Johnny. I was not with Johnny at the time.
Was your wedding with Mr. Depp on the island, right?
To be clear, we were both on the same island. We just weren't around each other that evening. We had kind of separate parties, a bridal party and a groom's party.
And your wedding was a month before Australia, correct?
That is correct.
And you arranged to have drugs at your wedding, correct?
Like I said, we had mushrooms for my bridal party beforehand.
On the island for your wedding?
Before the wedding.
On the island?
On the island, yes.
Okay. Can we please pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 1262? This is an email you sent on February 1st, 2015, correct?
That is correct. Yes, that's correct.
Okay. I'm going to move to admit and publish Plaintiff's Exhibit 1262.
Any objection? Yeah, sure.
Your Honor, if we could please have Ms. Heard's email published to the jury.
All right, 1262 in evidence.
This is a schedule for your wedding weekend, right, Ms. Heard?
No, it's not. It's a proposed draft of a schedule. It ended up being quite different.
Do you see where it says 7 p.m. rehearsal dinner?
Yes, I see that.
And the next item on the list says, quote, after dance party and drugs and music, end quote, right?
That is correct.
So you plan to have drugs at your wedding to someone you characterize as a drug addict?
To be fair, we were going to have separate parties, as I mentioned. So a bridal party before this. The schedule ended up changing quite a bit, and this is a draft clearly that was sent before there were a lot of changes made. The bridal
so
party
your original
and the
idea,
groom's
Ms.
party were
Heard,
separate.
Ms. Heard, your original idea was to have a rehearsal dinner with your husband, the drug addict, the monster, and then do drugs with your girlfriends on the island after your rehearsal dinner?
I realize that's what the email suggests, but that wasn't
No,
a
it's
plan.
not what it suggests, Ms. Heard. It's what you said in that email.
Right, but what I'm trying to say is that the schedule ended up changing. We ended up doing the little,
So your
as I
original
called
idea
it,
was
huddle
to do
puddle
drugs.
before.
Yeah, your original idea was to do drugs on an island after your rehearsal dinner to the drug-fueled monster that you were about to marry, right?
As the email suggests, there was going to be weed on the island. This does not reference the cuddle puddle that I just referenced to you.
You like to do drugs on special occasions, right, Ms. Heard?
I have before.
And you did drugs again for your 30th birthday, right?
That is correct. That was a huge mistake.
Your 30th birthday dinner was on April 21st, 2016?
Yes, it was the day before my birthday, correct.
And you testified that Mr. Depp was running late to the celebration, correct?
That is correct.
And you asked Mr. Depp to bring you alcohol when he arrived, is that right?
So the utility closet where we kept the wine was right by the elevators, and I also told him he could bring in a joint. I wouldn't bite his head off if he did.
So that's a yes?
That's correct. I told him I wouldn't be angry.
Let's look at Plaintiff's Exhibit 1263.
Your Honor, I'm going to ask to show, first of all, this one hasn't been produced. This has not, it's a brand new trial exhibit, so I don't have it. I'd like an unredacted copy, and then I'd like an unredacted copy to be shown to the witness.
All right, do you have an unredacted copy?
We can make one, Your Honor.
Okay.
Your Honor, may we approach about
All
this?
right.
I'm going to show the unredacted messages to counsel for Ms. Heard on a laptop because I don't have a hard copy.
Okay.
Yeah, could we, let's just pause for a minute. I don't want to see.
What's that?
So Ms. Heard, I'm only going to...
Your Honor, I'm going to object to asking questions while I'm looking at this.
All right, if you could give her a moment, please.
Sure.
Thank you.
I'm having trouble seeing this. Can you? Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
So any objection to 1263 as redacted?
No, Your Honor.
All right, 1263 in evidence.
So,
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Heard, directing your attention to the Plaintiff's Exhibit 1263. This is a text message that you sent to Mr. Depp, correct?
That is correct.
And you sent this message to Mr. Depp the day you had your 30th birthday dinner, right?
That is correct.
And you write, quote, "Hey baby, bring up something to drink and or a joint. I'm in if you are. See you in a minute. Question mark. XX." Did I read that right?
That is correct.
And then the next day you went to Coachella and consumed MDMA and mushrooms, right, Ms. Heard?
I did. Johnny was not there for that.
Right. Let's talk a little bit more about your 30th birthday. You testified about this incident multiple times, haven't you?
That is correct.
But yesterday you told this jury that you were not called upon to provide a detailed accounting of all physical and sexual abuse by Mr. Depp until February 2020. Is that correct?
I testified that I had not been able to do so until February 2020 in outside of the context of a cold deposition.
Actually, I misspoke. February 2022, this year.
Right. Sorry, I did the same thing you did.
Okay. And you did that in something called an interrogatory. Is that correct?
The interrogatory response was the first time that I could do that outside of the context of being asked certain questions in a deposition.
And you testified about your 30th birthday in this interrogatory, correct?
I believe so, yes.
Nonetheless, you testified to a new detail about your 30th birthday for the first time in this courtroom, didn't you?
No, that's incorrect.
A sexual assault, no less.
I had just not placed when that happened. I was never sure if that was the same time that he did that on the night of my birthday. And I maintained that as well in my deposition.
You told this jury that the evening of your 30th birthday dinner, Mr. Depp, quote, grabbed you by the pubic bone, pubic area, end quote, pushed you down, right?
That is correct.
This detail isn't in your interrogatory response, is it, Ms. Heard?
That detail is in my interrogatory response, yes.
Let's pull up your interrogatory response. If we could please bring up Ms. Bredehoff. Thank you. May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
we can go to your interrogatory responses at page 57. These are signed under the penalty of perjury, correct?
That is correct.
And you testified again to this jury that this was the first time you were given an opportunity to write down everything and include all your evidence, right?
That is correct.
Okay. So let's go to page 57. At the top of page 57, Johnny and I were not in a good place. I begged him to make my birthday dinner. Do you see that?
That is correct.
Okay. So starting on page 57, you start describing your birthday dinner, correct?
That is correct.
All right. On page 59 of your interrogatory response, you write, fourth paragraph down, Johnny grabbed me while holding me down, and I remember him asking me if I thought I was so tough. He asked me 3-4 times up close to my face, "You're so tough. Are you such a tough guy, huh? You think you're so tough. What are you going to do now?" I stood up at some point after getting off the ground. Do you see that?
That is correct.
And then you write after, I remember crying. I remember feeling exhausted and frustrated. And it hit me, meaning the realization of how sad it was that I was going to wake up tomorrow on my birthday without him.
That's correct.
Where in this interrogatory response, Ms. Heard, you describe Mr. Depp, quote, grabbing you by the pubic bone, pubic area, and pushing you down?
On page 64.
Where?
Page 64, 1, 2, 3 paragraphs down. Johnny grabbed me once, did this taunting thing on the side of the bed in penthouse 3. He grabbed my vagina and held me there, asked me if I was so tough.
You're not describing what happened after your 30th birthday?
I am. I just had not prescribed it to that date with the limited evidence I had at the time. Only in the course of looking at the evidence, preparing for this case, have I put those two pieces together. But I've always said what happened.
You were upset that Mr. Depp was late to your 30th birthday, weren't you?
I was.
You knew Mr. Depp had a scheduled business meeting or a money meeting that evening, right?
No, I knew he said he did. I didn't know if he had one. Addicts lie all the time.
So you didn't trust him?
I took it with a big grain of addict salt.
Okay. And Mr. Depp texted you that evening to let you know he'd be late, correct?
Yes, he did text me at some point.
It was a big deal to you that Mr. Depp was late to your birthday dinner, wasn't it?
Yeah, it did matter to me.
And you were upset he was late.
I was hurt.
And when he finally did arrive, you felt, quote, invisible to him, right?
I did.
The day after your birthday dinner, you and your friends went to Coachella to celebrate your birthday. Is that correct?
That is correct.
You made a video driving to Coachella with your friends, didn't you?
That is correct.
I'd like to pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 1264. And for the record, Your Honor, this only has music without any words on it.
And again, it's a new one, so I'd like a copy of it.
It's going to be played. There is no sound other than a song.
Yes, sure.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
All right.
1264.
If we could please publish this to the jury
Evidence? Yes,
with a sound. This is the video you made when you drove to Coachella with your friends for your 30th birthday, right?
That's correct. I'm not quite sure which one of us made the video, but that's correct.
You're featured in that video, driving.
That's correct.
And it's set to the song Miss You by the Rolling Stones, is that right?
That's correct.
That was a message for Mr. Depp, wasn't it?
No, that's ridiculous.
You consumed drugs at Coachella, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
You took MDMA and mushrooms at the same time.
I did, yes.
And it made you feel sick, right?
I felt horrible, yes.
So you left Coachella.
Yes, that's correct.
You testified yesterday that when you left Coachella, you left with, quote, your entire group.
That is correct.
And you were, quote, never alone with Starling, right?
That is correct.
You weren't anywhere near him.
Not alone, no.
You sat here when Starling Jenkins testified that he collected you from Coachella when you were sick, right?
He picked up my entire group.
And Mr. Jenkins testified, quote, I collected her, got her in the vehicle. She didn't want anyone else to know that she was sick. Take her back to the Parker, which I assume was in reference to the hotel, alone. I took her to the 7-Eleven where I retrieved hydrating fluids, Advil, and let her have those. Got her back up to the Parker, got her in the suite, and then went back to pick up everyone else. You were there when Mr. Jenkins testified, right?
Yes, he was wrong.
So it's your testimony that Mr. Jenkins is lying.
He's just wrong. I don't know what his intentions are. He was just wrong about that. We were a big group of us. I wasn't alone with him.
Isn't it possible that you don't remember correctly because you were sick from taking MDMA and mushrooms at the
No.
same time?
I remember everything about that night.
Okay. I'd like to play for you Plaintiff's Exhibit 1229, which is already in evidence, at 1720 through 2128.
That's what I came to figure
You're
out.
not going to call your lawyers and say, stop the process. I don't want to do this. You're not going to do that.
No, not if, especially people. If you,
Okay, I don't want a divorce.
We don't? How, which one? Growing up, which one?
I don't want a divorce. I never wanted a fucking divorce. I never wanted a divorce. I didn't want you to fucking go to Coachella without fucking talking to me. Because I left you because you were fucking... You fucking haymakered me, man. You came around the bed and fucking start punching on me. Why? I love you.
That's what really happened the evening of your 30th birthday, isn't it, Miss Heard?
No, that's incorrect.
Mr. Depp was in bed, and then you came around the bed and started punching him.
That's incorrect.
You don't deny that in the recording, do you, Miss Heard?
I'm not having that conversation with Johnny. I'm not denying anything. I'm not saying anything. I'm not having that conversation with Johnny. I was trying to get out of that hotel room. That was a mediation attempt. That was the recording you just heard. It was us meeting in a hotel.
But you're talking about your 30th birthday.
No, we're not.
You're not talking about going to Coachella and...
Johnny's talking about that. I am not arguing with him about any of that.
Right. You don't deny anything, do you?
I'm not talking to him about that.
Going to publish exhibit, or ask that the witness be shown exhibit 1265. This is you and your friends at Coachella, correct?
That is correct.
I'm going to move to admit plaintiff's 1265 and publish it.
No objection. All right, 1265 in evidence. You can publish it.
There's no injuries to you, are there, Ms. Heard, visible in this picture?
You cannot see any visible injury, no.
Thank you, Tom. Ms. Heard, you remember during Mr. Depp's examination, a number of recordings were played, correct?
That's correct.
And in one of those recordings, you told Mr. Depp, quote, "I hope to God Jack's stepfather teaches him more about being a man than your fucking left nut," end quote. Do you remember that?
I do not remember what exactly I could hear of that recording. I remember I heard myself make a mention of Jack's new stepfather, or potential stepfather, I can't recall.
Jack is Mr. Depp's son, right?
That is correct. And I believe I was referencing a marriage that his ex-partner was going to have or getting into, I suppose.
You were referencing that Jack's new stepfather would teach him how to be a man because Mr. Depp couldn't.
I don't recall exactly what I said, but it was something to that effect.
Let's listen to some of what happened before you said that to Mr. Depp. If we could please play Plaintiff's Exhibit 397, which is already in evidence. And for the record, it's at 3504 through 3547. And then the next clip is 3635 through 4308.
Fucking suck your own dick.
Everything's fine until it doesn't go your way. And when it doesn't go your way, I'm in trouble. And you know what? I don't need you. I don't want your kind of woman. I don't want your kind of woman. I don't want your kind of woman. I might have. Suck my dick with you.
Mistake. I wish I had fucking hadn't.
Oh, yeah.
I wish I fucking hadn't. I wish I fucking hadn't bought into any of your fucking lies, your bullshit, your sober fucking presence, your fucking goodness, your sweetness, all the lies. I wish I hadn't bought into the months of you being you. I wish I hadn't bought into the promises. I wish I hadn't fucking thought I could have kids with you. You're a fucking kid yourself. I wish I hadn't bought into any of the lies you sold. Talk about fake bill of goods. You're the biggest fucking, you're the biggest fucking seller of fake fucking bill of goods. Talk about presenting yourself as something.
I did myself as a fake seller of goods. I fucking, you've left nothing and I've left everything. So suck your dick.
Yeah, go on.
Which is probably your next move, because it's what you fucking need. No, I don't want to suck your dick. I don't want nothing to do with your fucking midsection. Well, go get it, man.
Because I need something. Go on.
Huh?
Fucking fuck yourself. No
I
shit, I don't. Go suck your dick.
don't want to.
It's gonna be all moved out.
No, it's not really true, Amber.
Actually, it kind of is.
It kind of is? What are you talking about? You didn't want some?
No,
Oh, is it? What is it?
no, I'm sure Rochelle's available. Call her up. I'm sure she's available.
Maybe she is.
I'm sure she is.
We'll see.
I'm sure she is.
I'll let you know.
Oh, I'm sure she is. I'm sure for her yoga blog.
That fake laugh. That fake laugh is too much to take.
No, I'm sure she's.
That fake laugh is so disgusting.
I'm sure she's great. I'm sure she's great.
I'm thinking that you can give me some
No.
of the best performances in there.
No, you're right. I don't. It's all about performance.
felt crumbs. Oh, Amber, I don't regret. I don't regret.
Oh, what else?
I
What
don't
else
regret.
that you do? Oh, come on.
I don't
Be
regret.
more.
No, I
Come
don't
on.
regret.
Lay it on me. What else? What else other things do you want to add?
Can't talk to
You
you when you
fucking
sound
lying
like
piece
Bobby
of shit.
Bear.
What? Oh,
Like
no,
a
I
kid's
want
show.
to know.
Yeah,
I want to know.
get out your Ubers out.
I'm kind of waiting. You go get it.
Yeah, I'll be in the
Wait, is there no other place for you to run in your 15 other houses to go run? Come on, go be a real married man and go deal with your shit the way that a man does. Go run to the next house. Every man does.
Yeah.
Go.
Going
Run
through
away. I know it's
with
hard to
your
look at yourself.
fucking ridiculous
I know.
plan.
It's
Your
hard.
panic fucking plan.
It's hard. It's hard.
Screwing everybody else
Poor
over
thing.
to get
You're
your
right, I
fucking
tried.
thing with
That's
you.
what I do.
You're the most spoiled fucking brat. And you got everybody out here almost
Oh,
full, but it
you're
don't
right.
last
You're
long.
right.
I've
I'm
been
sorry.
here a lot longer
You're
than
right. You got to
because
figure it out.
You don't have figure out what you have to offer as opposed to going out and get your tits out.
You're right. That's what I do.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
London's Field is excellent.
You're right. You're right.
Excellent choice.
Back to that. Well, I wonder what we else. I wonder what else we can reach for in the last 60 years. Oh no, it was 4 years ago. You're right. I'm sure there's other things you can find.
Go loud.
No, I'm not laughing.
Oh, no, matter of fact,
I'm
laugh
not
here.
laughing. I'm not. It's
Oh.
serious. I'm sure you can find other things.
I know. And stripping. Man, well, there's always that. You can
You're
always
right.
go back
You can
to
write
that
a book.
for
You can
another-
write a
for
book.
another
I
10
know you
minutes.
can write a book. Oh, is this gonna be good for your book? Oh, should I have you sign an NDA for your book?
You don't even
Your book.
I'm not
Is this
gonna-
gonna be good for your book?
You won't even
Is this
make
gonna
it
be
a
good
book.
for your book?
I'll write what I
Hey,
want. I'll
I
write
have a
what
good
I want.
idea.
I'll write what
How
I
about
want.
somewhere of your journals? You don't want to sell out or anything. Let's sell your journals. Oh, wait.
Hey.
Hey,
Yeah,
no, you're
you
not
don't
what?
wanna sell out.
No, you're not selling
You don't wanna
out.
sell out,
no,
Magic Mike.
No,
You don't wanna
yeah,
sell
'cause
out.
no one does
No,
21 Drunk Street when they're in their 20s. No, you're right. That's not selling out. No. When you're in your 20s, you should really know what you want. Like
By the
selling
way-
your journals.
By the way, if you didn't know who the fuck I was.
You're right. Go sell your journals like a real non-sellout. 55-year-old. Or, I'm sorry,
6.
51. I don't know. It doesn't matter at this point.
No.
I don't think so.
It really doesn't.
I don't really think so. But you're right. I mean, hey, at least I didn't do like a TV show where I was heartbroken in my 20s. God, that would be like embarrassing.
Wow.
If only I was with someone in their 50s that could point that out to me. Imagine, Mike, you're right. When you play a non-sexualized object. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. You're right. You got it all figured out.
You don't even know what movies I've done.
If only I could
You
be
haven't
like
even
you.
taken an interest.
If only I could be
You know,
like
but I had to
you. If
watch
only
your
I
fucking-
could be like you.
I had to watch your fucking direct and you trying to like
You're a joke.
spew
You're
out
a
these fucking
joke.
lines.
You're a joke. You're a joke.
Yeah, I'm the joke in the industry, Amber. I'm the joke. I'm the joke in the
I'm
industry.
sorry. I can't really hear you. I'm sorry. The reruns of all my bullshit are playing too loud for me to hear you. I'm gonna just go and pedal my way back. Sorry. I can't hear you.
Aquaman.
Oh, 21 is whatever it was.
I was
don't remember it anymore.
I was 20.
No one cares. You're fucking
Washed up piece of shit.
What?
Washed up piece of shit.
I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Your jealousy's so tragic.
I'm sorry.
Your jealousy's so
Turn on my
tragic. Fucking
Wait,
like
I can't hear
thinking
you.
that I'm going on a road with a
Turn on
band.
my aid. I can't hear you.
You told Mr. Depp to suck your dick multiple times, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
You tell him to go run to his 15 other houses, right?
That's correct.
Because that's what he would do when you behave like this, isn't it?
Eventually, he would go and stay in one of the other houses.
You call him a sellout, don't you?
I was expressing frustration about His criticism of my career and how many problems that caused within the dynamic of our relationship, yes.
So you call him a sellout and a joke?
I called him horrible, ugly things, as you can hear. And
Sellout.
We spoke to each other in a really horrible way.
Pretty sure we just heard you speak to him in a really horrible way. You called him a sellout,
I just
right, Ms.
disagree.
Heard? You called him a sellout, right, Ms. Heard?
I called him a lot of ugly things.
And a joke.
I called him a lot of ugly things.
You called him a joke on that recording. You called him a washed up piece of shit.
I think we both called each other that on that occasion, yes.
Mr. Depp mentions Aquaman, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
Mr. Depp got you that role in Aquaman, didn't he?
Excuse me?
Mr. Depp got you that role in Aquaman, didn't he?
No, Miss Vasquez, I got myself that role by auditioning. That's
Mr.
how that
Depp
works.
says, quote, your jealousy is so tragic.
I heard him say that, yes.
You were the jealous one in this relationship, weren't you, Miss Heard?
I think he was indicating I was jealous of his career.
But now you've twisted it to say it was Mr. Depp that's the jealous one.
Johnny's always been very jealous when I worked, when I did anything, friends. Yes, he's always been very jealous.
Ms. Heard, I'm going to ask you to take a look at Plaintiff's Exhibit 120E. This is a series of text messages between you and Mr. Depp.
That is correct.
I'm going to move to admit and publish these text messages. Mr. Depp's messages have been redacted.
All right, any objection?
No, Your Honor.
All right, 120E in evidence, you can publish.
Starts with a text message from you to Mr. Depp on September 26, 2015, right?
That is correct.
And you write, monster is back. This is him. Did I read that right?
That is correct.
And then in the next message, you write, quote, ran away, first sign of trouble. This is not the man you promised you would be. Did I read that correctly?
That is correct.
Then in the next one down, you write, promised, swore to me you would be.
That is
Right?
correct. The non-monster.
Ms. Heard, you're talking about Mr. Depp running away from you at the first sign of trouble, aren't you?
No, I'm recognizing the clues at this point. When he would run away at the first sign of trouble, often that was a clue for me to know that he was back using again and that we were about to enter the next phase of the cycle.
And you describe his running away from you as the monster, right?
That wasn't what was a monster. The monster was the man who beat me up. The running away was just attached to that. It was a sign, a signal to me, as a clue, as somebody trying to put together clues that we were entering into that phase.
But in these messages, Ms. Heard,
Exactly.
monster isn't Mr. Depp doing drugs, is it?
It was always the man who did drugs and beat me up. Yes, that's always been the monster.
That's not what you're saying in these messages.
That is exactly what I'm saying in the messages.
You don't describe Mr. Depp being violent, do you?
I do not describe that in this text message, no.
So it's a cowardly monster this time.
No.
Okay. And going down the page, you write a long series of text messages to Mr. Depp that don't get a response. Is that correct?
That is correct.
You write, come grown, face the shit, and we can do anything. You go on a little later to say, please come home. Let's apologize to each together. And continuing on page 77, you write, not go to bed mad. And then you say, sound okay? Sound like the priority in the long run? Come home. Don't be the monster. Be the man. Please. Please call me. Please. Continuing on page 78. You write, I don't want the monster. I need my man. I need to talk to you. Please, Johnny. Don't force me to be something else to you. This is taking me for granted and I can never stop before this turns into something far darker. Describing yourself in that text message, right?
The exact opposite. I'm trying to interrupt him starting a new cycle where he starts using again.
He's not responding to you, Ms. Heard.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to desperately stop him.
Please answer the phone, you say. Doesn't this mean anything to you? And it goes on. And I won't read all these messages, but you're saying, please answer over and over again. Right?
It was very important to me. I was running out of time and I was trying desperately to stop him.
He wasn't with you, Miss Heard.
Exactly, which is how I knew it was about to get a lot worse. He would leave, use, and come back way worse, with way less reality, with more delusions. He'd be more drunk. He'd be more under the influence.
I'm going to move to strike everything after
I was trying to stop
the
that.
answer to her question.
Your Honor, she was responding.
I'll overrule the objection. That's fine.
Thank you, Your Honor.
This is a situation where you were trying to get Mr. Depp to pay attention to you. Isn't that right?
No, I was trying to stop him from using.
And because he ran away from you at the first sign of trouble, you call him a monster,
I was
right?
trying to stop him from turning into the monster. The drugs are the key that opened the door.
Who was the real monster in this relationship, Miss Heard?
Lives in Johnny, half of Johnny. It's not all of Johnny. The other half of him is wonderful and beautiful and the man I love.
I'd like you to take a look at Plaintiff's Exhibit 120F. There's another set of text messages between you and Mr. Depp. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
I'm going to move to admit and publish.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
All right, 120F in evidence. You can publish.
This is a set of text messages, and it's from October 2015. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
In fact, you sent all of these messages to Mr. Depp on October 22nd, 2015. Isn't that right?
Exactly. Same thing was happening here.
And again, I'm not going to read them all, but you start off again by trying to get Mr. Depp's attention, right? You write, please come home.
I was trying to stop another bender.
You write, please come home, right?
That is correct.
Please answer. Don't break us up. Please answer. Please. And continuing on page 97, you write, give me some piece of your heart. Please, no fight, I promise. Please, no fights. Please, just pick up. Please give me 2 minutes. I'm dying. Please. And continuing on page 98, you write, please come home. Please come home, Baba. I am so sorry. Actually, you didn't say Baba, you said baby. Apologies. And it goes on. Did I read those correctly?
That is correct. That was another time I'm trying to stop another twist off.
This is what would happen when Mr. Depp would try to take some space from you, right?
No, this is what would happen when Johnny had moved into the next phase of the cycle, decided to use,
No,
and our
Ms.
lives
Heard.
were getting a lot worse at that
Ms.
point.
Heard, I'm talking about your actions. This is what you would do to Mr. Depp when he would leave you. You would harangue him.
I would try
Isn't that
to-
correct? You
I
would
would try-
harangue him.
Your Honor, at least let her answer the question. Interrupting her.
That's fine. Go ahead and answer the question.
I do not think I would characterize my behavior that way. I was trying to stop him from using.
You were texting him incessantly. Isn't that correct, Ms. Heard?
It was imperative for my life.
Ms.
It
Heard,
was very
my
important
question is
to me.
much more simple. You were texting him incessantly.
I would
Yes
try
or no?
everything to
Ms.
get a hold
Heard?
of him and
So
to
that's a
stop the
yes.
cycle.
That's a yes, right?
I would try everything to stop the cycle. It was that important to me.
And he's the monster for not responding to you,
That's not what made him the monster.
for
No.
needing space from you.
The monster was not the guy who needed space. The
Not
monster
for
was
doing
who he
drugs.
was when he came back.
Not for doing drugs, Ms. Heard. Not for being violent. Just for needing space. That's when you called Mr. Depp the monster.
Incorrect.
Let's listen to Defendant's Exhibit 598C, which is already in evidence.
And let's not do this anymore, because I'm really getting frustrated. And I'm really, really, really sick of this argument.
Stop, I'm sorry.
Okay? So let me go, and you go, and I'll speak to you in a couple hours. Okay? Okay?
Stop. Okay.
Why are you saying stop?
Because
May
you're being
I
so-
go?
Please, it causes me so much stress when you leave, when you walk away from me with that. It's like you don't understand how much worse you're making this.
I can't believe this.
Please, you're making it worse for me.
Okay, I'm sorry for you.
Please, I'm only trying to tell you so that you know you're causing me immense stress right now when you walk away like that. There's no reason to be mad.
Well, then say goodbye. I haven't walked away. You're not saying goodbye. You won't let me fucking leave. Let me leave.
Stop rushing me! Stop pushing me in the corner and then poking me with a stick and then saying, why aren't you saying the words you want me to say? Stop poking me! Stop rushing me! Stop throwing me against the wall! I'm going, what? You don't like that wall? You don't like the fucking wall? Stop pushing me!
Remember? I'm not pushing you. I'm not rushing you. I said, I need space. I don't want this conversation anymore right now. I need space. And I will take my space. Whether you like it or not, I will take it. And you will take your space. But if you keep halting
I'm not doing anything
this
to you.
and continuing
I'm
with
not
the rhetoric.
continuing it. I'm begging you to stop.
I don't. Okay, stop. I'm stopped. Stop. Now I have to go. Okay? So we will speak to each other in a couple of hours. Okay? I hope you have some kind of revelation that makes you feel better. You know? I hope I do too. But we'll just see when I get home. We'll just talk, or we won't talk, or we'll finish this, or we won't finish it. But this is not love. This is not happiness. This is not.
Please stop doing this. Please, you're causing me so much fucking stress. I'm gonna die at this age. I'm gonna fucking die. You're causing me so much stress. Please stop. Please, I feel like I have heart attacks almost every day. Please stop. Please stop doing it. Please stop. He's so fucking mean.
Why are you with me?
Bully. Stop. Please stop. I've been begging you not to fight. I just said, can we please have a normal argument? Just even a normal conversation, fucking normal argument. And for the last hour, I've been begging you to please just leave it at that. Let's just go on with our night. I would have been able to come in with you. We would have been able to let it go in a few minutes. It would have been fine. It would just, if we allowed ourselves to have fucking normal arguments. Please, you're killing me with this. You're killing me. You're fucking killing me. Fuck.
Sean, could you, please, I want you to just go. I want you to take your medicine or whatever. I'm sorry that I've upset you this much.
Thank you, Sean. I'm ready to go. Thank you so much.
I'm really sorry.
I'm really ready.
That's you and Mr. Depp in the recording, correct, Ms. Heard?
That's correct.
You just won't let him go, will you?
That's not true. We were outside of his studio and he wanted to go and use. It was a pretext. The claim that he was upset with me was a pretext so that he would go on a bender. I knew that pattern by the time this recording happened.
Is your testimony now that you were outside Mr. Depp's studio?
I believe that
And he was
recording
going to go
was...
use?
Excuse me?
He was going to go use drugs? That's your testimony now?
We were outside his studio, his man cave house, if you will, in the car, I believe, during that recording.
And he was going to go inside and use?
That was the pattern. And as you can hear from my voice, I'm very, very, very scared of entering into the next cycle under what I had been conditioned to understand we were at that point in our relationship.
That's not true, is it, Ms. Heard? Mr. Depp was trying to go inside his house to see his daughter, Lily Rose.
She might have been over that day, but
So
that's not
it's your
what he was
testimony
getting out of
now?
the car to do, and that's not what I was stopping him from doing.
Let's play the beginning part of that recording where Mr. Depp tells you that he wants to go inside to see his daughter.
And let's not do this anymore, because I'm really getting frustrated. And I'm really, really, really sick of this argument.
Stop. I'm sorry.
Okay? So let me go, and you go, and I'll speak to you in a couple hours. Okay? Okay?
Stop. Okay.
Why are you saying stop?
Because
May
you're being
I
so-
go?
We'll circle back to this, but it's your testimony that you were outside Mr. Depp's studio.
We were in the car.
You were in the car outside of Mr. Depp's studio.
That's correct.
And he wasn't telling you, please let me go inside my house to see my daughter. He was indicating to you that he wanted to go inside to do drugs. That's your testimony.
I know my testimony is that I knew what he was going inside to go do. I knew what stage of the cycle we were in. I knew the patterns by then, and I was desperately out of time trying to interrupt that cycle.
Okay. Let's go to May of 2016. Yesterday, Ms. Heard, Ms. Bredehoff, your attorney, showed you certain pictures from May 21, 2016. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. If we could please pull up Defendant's Exhibit 710, which has already been admitted into evidence. Ms. Heard, you testified yesterday that this is a photograph taken of you on May 21st, 2016. Do you recall?
Yes, that's correct.
And keeping this exhibit up, if we could please do a split screen, Tom, and also pull up Defendant's Exhibit 714, which has already been admitted with redactions. Ms. Heard, you testified yesterday that this is a photograph that was also taken on May 21st, 2016, correct?
Yes, although the one to the right might have been taken the next day. I can't be sure. The reason I say that is because there's light in the background. So it looks like it was taken in the daytime, which means maybe it was the next day.
Didn't you testify that you took different pictures in different lightings on May 21?
That is correct, yes.
And you're wearing two thin necklaces in this picture on the right. Is that correct?
That is correct.
You testified that these pictures were taken the same night.
The one on the right looks like it was taken in the daytime because I can see the daylight behind me.
But you testified that they were taken the same day.
I don't know if I think I testified that they came from the same incident of the same day, not necessarily taken on the same day.
Okay. Let's please pull up Defendant's Exhibit 712, which has already been admitted. You testified yesterday this is another photograph of you on the night of May 21.
That's correct.
And keeping this exhibit up, can we please do a split screen and also pull up Defendant 713, which has already been admitted? Ms. Heard, you testified yesterday this is also a photograph of you from the same night, correct?
That is correct.
You testified yesterday that the only difference between these two photographs is that the light was turned on.
That's what it appears to be, yes.
The light is on both of these pictures, though. Isn't that right?
It looks to me like the one on the left has the vanity light, the makeup lights, you know, the more yellow-hued ones that go around the mirror on, and then the one on the right looks like it doesn't have those.
Isn't it true you just edited these photographs?
No, I've never edited a photograph.
Didn't you just enhance the saturation for one of these photos to make your face look more red?
No, that's incorrect. I didn't touch it.
You were sitting here in this courtroom when Mr. Isaac Baruch testified to seeing you the week after May 21, 2016, correct?
I was here.
Mr. Baruch testified that he saw you on May 22nd while you were changing the locks of your penthouse. Do you recall that testimony?
I do. I just don't know if he was right about the date, but I do remember him saying that.
Testified it was his birthday, the day after his birthday.
I believe it was.
Yeah. Mr. Baruch testified that he saw you repeatedly in the days following also, correct?
That's correct.
And Mr. Baruch testified that he saw no marks or injuries on your face, correct?
That is what he's testified to.
You were also here in this court when Mr. Sean Bett testified to seeing you on the evening of May 21, 2016. Is that right? You were here.
That's correct.
Mr. Bett also testified that he saw no marks or injuries on your face that evening, correct?
I realize that's what he said.
You were sitting here in this courtroom when Officer Melissa Sines testified by deposition about being called to the Eastern Columbia building on May 21st, 2016, right?
I saw her testimony, yes.
And you heard Officer Sines testify that she did not see any injuries on you that night, correct?
I heard her testify she did not consider this injured.
No. Miss Officer Sines testified that she met with you and she did not see any injuries on your face. Isn't that correct?
She did not consider this injury.
Ms. Heard, my question is a bit more nuanced.
So is my answer.
All right.
Tom, can we put these down, please? I think they might be confusing the witness. My question is more nuanced. You sat in this courtroom while Officer Sines testified that she saw you the night of May 21, 2016, face to face, and didn't see any injuries on your face. Isn't that correct, Ms. Heard?
I believe she was testifying about these photographs, and she said that I was not injured in them.
Is it your testimony under oath now that Officer Sines testified that she saw injuries on you when she saw you in person on May 21?
Sorry, let me clarify. I was testifying that I know that that's what Officer Sines said, that she didn't consider my red, puffy face injured. That's what she said.
The red, puffy face, that was your counsel's question, correct?
That was
She
her
said-
testimony in the UK.
That's incorrect, and you know that, Ms. Heard.
I disagree.
It's just inconvenient for you that Officer Sines didn't see injuries on you on May 21, 2016.
It
Isn't
doesn't
that
matter
right?
what's convenient for me.
Right. Officer Tyler Haddon also testified by deposition about being called to the Eastern Columbia building on May 21, 2016, and he also testified no injuries on your face on May 21, 2016. Isn't that correct?
They both said that they did not consider me injured.
They did not see injuries on your face on May 21, 2016. Isn't that what their testimony was?
What their testimony was is that they did not consider what my face looked like to be injury. They didn't consider what they walked on in the house damage, but it was.
You were sitting here when Officer William Gatlin testified by deposition about being called on May 21 to the Eastern Columbia building, and he also did not observe any injuries on you, did he? And that's what he testified to.
He didn't even know which one I was.
No, I think we all saw on video camera you identify yourself. Isn't that correct?
I had to because of how far away he was. He didn't even know who he was
But
there
after
to
you
see.
identified yourself, he looked at you. Isn't that correct?
From a distance, yes.
And he didn't see any visible injuries either, did he?
I don't know what he saw.
He testified that he didn't see any visible injuries, did
I
he?
would believe that he didn't, yes.
You were also in this courtroom when Alejandro Romero, who worked at the front desk at the Eastern Columbia building, testified about seeing you on May 25th, 2016. Isn't that correct?
That is correct. I think he said the 25th.
Yeah, and Mr. Romero testified that he didn't see any swelling or bruises on your face when you were talking to him at the front desk.
He wouldn't have.
No, he wouldn't have, even though he had a habit, because his parents taught him correctly, to look into someone's eyes when speaking to them. Isn't that correct?
I know that's what he testified to, yes.
You testified yesterday that you sought a temporary restraining order on May 27th, 2016 because you wanted to change your locks. Do you remember that testimony?
Yes, I do.
Those locks were to the penthouses at the Eastern Columbia building. Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
But you changed the locks to the penthouses on May 22nd, 2016.
I attempted to.
That's why you felt comfortable having James Franco over the evening of May 22nd, 2016, Ms. Heard?
I do not know when James came over.
Okay, let's remind you. Can we please pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 304, which is already in evidence, and play from 254 through 439? That's you and Mr. Franco on May 22nd, 2016, right, Ms. Heard?
That's correct.
And you're taking him up to the penthouses, aren't you?
That's where I lived, yes.
And it's past 11 p.m. at night, isn't that right?
I'm not quite sure of the time it looked like that.
Why don't we pull that video back up? $22:51. Almost midnight, right?
That's
Or excuse me, almost 11 o'clock at night.
exactly.
You knew Mr. Depp was out of town the week of May 21, 2016, didn't you?
I don't know what I knew of his schedule at the time.
You knew Mr. Depp was out of town on May 27th when you went to get the domestic violence restraining order, isn't that right?
I don't know if I knew that at the time.
You knew Mr. Depp was heading out on a European tour that week, isn't that right?
I'm not quite sure what I understood of his schedule at that time.
You knew he wouldn't be back for weeks, right?
No, that's incorrect.
Let's go back to that recording. It's Defendant's Exhibit 598. So you testified that you and Mr. Depp were in the car outside of his studio. Is that right?
Yes.
And you were trying to prevent him from going into his studio to do drugs, right?
Yeah, to effectively start another cycle.
Right. Not that Mr. Depp was just trying to go into his house to see his daughter, right?
His daughter might be one of the people that was in the house at that time, but that's neither here nor there. That wouldn't have prevented him from entering a cycle.
Your testimony is now that Mr. Depp does drugs in front of his children?
Well, first of all, I know he does. Second of all, it wouldn't have mattered. It wouldn't have stopped him from using with his friends, which is the problem, not whether or not his daughter was there.
Okay. Let's play, please, Defendants 598 at 49:48 through 50:35. 50:35.
I'm itching. I don't want to be doing this. I want it just to, why don't you just say, okay, baby, I understand. I'll go home and you do your thing, hang out with your daughter, and then I'll see you in a couple hours and we'll talk about it. Is it that difficult to say that? Or you just fucking hate me and you want to be shitty about it? Please. Just fucking, it's not that difficult. Okay? I don't want to stand here in a driveway and argue with you. Okay, well, I'll see you in a little bit, okay? Please? Please. Just let me know if you're gonna go somewhere. Just let me know, please, so I know.
And almost an hour later, you're still arguing with Mr. Depp outside, right?
I don't know how long that argument lasted, no.
Ms. Heard, you testified about seeking a domestic violence restraining order against Mr. Depp, correct?
Yes, I have.
And how you wanted to do it discreetly?
That's correct.
That you wanted as much privacy as you could have?
Yes, that's correct.
And how you walked out to a sea of paparazzi and cameras and photographers, right?
That is correct.
And how this overwhelmed you?
It was overwhelming, yes.
Because you didn't want this attention on you?
That is correct.
If we could please pull up Defendant's Exhibit 800, which has already been admitted into evidence. This is a photograph of you taken inside the courthouse when you obtained the DVRO, correct?
That's correct.
And your friend Raquel Pennington took this photograph?
Yes, that's correct.
Because you needed to document your time at the courthouse getting a DVRO?
She just took a picture of me. I'm assuming it was in relation to my divorce, yeah.
If we could please pull up Defendant's Exhibit 801, which has already been admitted into evidence. Ms. Heard, this is another photograph of you taken inside the courthouse, isn't that right?
That is correct.
Were you having a photo shoot inside the courthouse while you were getting a DVRO?
I would not characterize it that way, Ms. Vasquez.
You have a mark on your face, right, Ms. Heard?
Yes.
You didn't use your bruise kit this time to cover it up?
No, it was the only day I actually walked out of my house without makeup on. I had to be stopped. My best friend saw me in the bathroom starting to put makeup on and told me not to.
All right. Can we please pull up Exhibit 1?
That's plaintiff's at 1?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor.
No.
Apologies.
That's fine.
It's already been admitted into
Yes, ma'am.
evidence. You wrote this op-ed, right, Ms. Heard?
With the help of the ACLU, yes.
And that's what you testified to in this courtroom, right?
That is correct.
And this was published on December 18th, 2018, correct?
That is correct.
Aquaman was released on December 21st, 2018, right?
Yes, that sounds correct.
And that was your first big blockbuster, big budget role, right?
I disagree, but it was the first time I had like a leading role in a movie of that size, yes. Well, second time, yes.
What was your first time?
But the first one was the film I talked about before. Yesterday, Justice League. It introduced the character. So, technically, it was the second one.
But you were the love interest in Aquaman, correct?
That is correct.
Now, at least parts of this op-ed are about Mr. Depp, isn't that right?
It's about what happened to me after.
You sat here during opening statements when your attorney argued that the context of your statements in this op-ed matter, correct?
That's correct.
So let's go through some of that context. He wrote here, quote, "Friends and advisors told me I would never work again as an actress, that I would be blacklisted."
That is
You're
correct.
referring to your accusations of domestic violence against Mr. Depp in the statement, aren't you?
Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
You're referring to your accusations of domestic violence against Mr. Depp in the statement, aren't you?
In general, I'm referring to being associated with domestic violence.
And you're referring to what you claim happened after you got an ex-parte domestic violence restraining order against Mr. Depp in May of 2016, right?
Are you asking me if that's what I was writing about?
That's what you're referring to, correct?
Can you just give me the question again? I'm sorry.
You're referring to what you claim happened after you got an ex-parte restraining order against Mr. Depp in May of 2016.
That's correct.
You also wrote, quote, "Questions arose as to whether I would be able to keep my role of Mira in the films Justice League and Aquaman." This is also referring to your accusations of domestic violence against Mr. Depp, right?
This is referring to what happened to me after I got my TRO, my restraining order.
Against Mr. Depp, right?
That is correct.
These questions arose only after you accused Mr. Depp of domestic violence in May of 2016, allegedly, right?
Yeah, from the time I got the TRO, being associated with domestic violence, that's what it's a reference to, yes.
You also wrote, quote, "Imagine a powerful man as a ship like the Titanic. That ship is a huge enterprise. When it strikes an iceberg, there are a lot of people on board desperate to patch up holes, not because they believe in or care about the ship, but because their own fates depend on the enterprise." In this op-ed, you're saying Mr. Depp is a ship, right?
I'm making an analogy to a powerful man as a ship.
The powerful man you're referring to in this analogy is Mr. Depp, right?
I was talking about a bigger issue, actually, than just Johnny. I was talking about what we as a country were talking about at the time of writing this, which is when powerful men in general do something horrible or something they shouldn't, how there is a system in place to protect them, clean up after them, maintain them afloat. This is a reference to not just Johnny. It was about what was happening as a culture when we were addressing a lot of Me Too issues for the first time.
The iceberg is you in this analogy, right, Ms. Heard?
I would not say that. That was not what I intended to know.
So this is another reference to your accusations against Mr. Depp.
No, this is about what happened to me once I left that relationship and got a TRO and became associated with domestic violence.
Right. But it's your testimony that this op-ed isn't about Mr. Depp, right?
It's about what happened to me after. That's correct.
It's about your experience after obtaining a temporary restraining order against Mr. Depp, right?
That is correct, among other things.
But it's not about Mr. Depp.
It is not about him.
Mr. Depp is making it about Mr. Depp, right?
Ironically.
It's kind of like that Carly Simon song, right, Miss Heard?
I don't know what you mean.
Let's talk about the defamatory statements in the op-ed that you also claim are not about Mr. Depp. Then 2 years ago, I became a public figure representing domestic abuse, and I felt the full force of our culture's wrath for women who speak out. This is about Mr. Depp, isn't it?
No.
You wrote this in 2018, right?
Exactly.
And 2 years prior was 2016, right?
That's true.
Okay.
That's correct.
So
it's not about
May of
Johnny. It's about what happened to me
Ms.
after.
Heard, my question was May of 2016 is 2 years prior to December of 2018, correct?
That's correct.
All right. May 2016 is when you publicly accused Mr. Depp of domestic violence, right?
I got my restraining order at that time.
And you publicly accused Mr. Depp of domestic violence.
Yes, that was attached to my restraining order, so yes.
May of 2016 is when you sought a restraining order against Mr. Depp.
That's correct, and I had to provide testimony for that.
Right. And May 2016 is when you walked into court with a mark on your face to obtain that restraining order. Yes or no?
That was the day I walked into court with a bruise on my face, yes.
And you were photographed with that mark on your face, weren't you?
I walked out to a bunch of photographers, yes.
May 2016 is when you told the world that Mr. Depp had physically abused you during your relationship. Isn't that right?
That I had to provide testimony as part of my restraining order application, yes.
And that's how you became a public figure representing domestic abuse. Right, Ms. Heard?
From that point on, yes.
That's when you claimed you faced our culture's wrath, right?
That's when it started, yes.
But it's your testimony under oath that this statement is not about Mr. Depp.
It is not. It is about what happened to me afterwards. That's the more interesting thing for me to write about.
The next statement reads, I had the rare vantage point of seeing in real time how institutions protect men accused of abuse. This is also about Mr. Depp, isn't that right?
Not just about him, but he is included in that, yes.
He's the man you accused of abuse 2 years prior to this op-ed. Isn't that right, Ms. Heard?
Yes, but I wrote this op-ed in the context of many men at the time that were public figures or in this public eye being accused as well. So it was a reference in general to a larger phenomenon, not just Johnny.
Not just Johnny.
Not just Johnny.
Okay. And then you write, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. This one's also about Mr. Depp.
I did not write that.
Well, you've accused Mr. Depp of sexual violence in this very courtroom, haven't you?
Yes, but I was intending to keep that private when this was published. I had not publicly ever accused him of that.
I'm going to move to strike everything after the word yes.
No, I'll overrule the objection. Go ahead.
You may not have written this title, but you published it, didn't you?
I did not publish a title. I retweeted the article that included the title in it because that was the article.
Let's pull up, please, Plaintiff's Exhibit 3, which is already in evidence. This is a tweet from your Twitter account on December 19th, 2018, correct?
That is correct.
Your Honor, oh, it's already in evidence?
It is in evidence.
Yes. Thank you. So on December 19th, 2018, you tweeted, quote, today I published this op-ed in the Washington Post. Did I read that right?
That is correct.
And the tweet includes a link to the op-ed we were just looking at, correct?
That's correct.
And you can see that the title of the op-ed in your tweet is, quote, opinion, Amber Heard. I spoke up against sexual violence, right?
Yes, you don't get to change the title of an article you're retweeting.
And that's the title that you put on your Twitter, correct?
I did not put it on my Twitter, no.
You linked it to your tweet.
I retweeted the article.
You published it.
I retweeted a link to an article that I wrote.
And you published it on your Twitter account. All right.
I retweeted it.
You testified yesterday that you didn't have any control over the title, and just now, of the op-ed when you retweeted it. Is that correct?
That is correct.
This wasn't a retweet, though, right?
A tweet? Perhaps not retweet. I'm not quite sure.
It was a tweet.
Tweet. I misspoke. Excuse me. Tweet. not retweet.
You included a link to the electronic copy of the op-ed in your tweet, right?
That's what I was trying to say earlier, and I might have misspoke. It's like I'm trying to attach it.
Right. So you included a link, right?
Yes,
to the
that's
op-ed.
correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
So you must have seen the title of the electronic version of the op-ed before you tweeted it, right?
I may have, I just didn't notice it.
Not very careful about what you publish, are you, Ms. Heard?
I just didn't notice the title.
You didn't need to include the link to the electronic version of the op-ed in your tweet, did you?
How else would I have linked it?
Well, you didn't need to include the link to tell the world that today you had published this op-ed in the Washington Post about women who are channeling their rage and about violence and equality into political strength despite the price of coming forward, right?
I couldn't attach it with a paper clip.
No, but you didn't need to attach it at all to tell the world
Oh, I
that
see what
you
you're
had
saying.
published an op-ed.
No, the goal was to tweet about it and to provide a link so that people could read it.
The op-ed is in your name, right?
That's correct.
So if you had noticed the title of the electronic version of the op-ed before you included it in your tweet, you could have asked the Washington Post to change it. Isn't that right?
No, that's not.
But you didn't do that, right? You never asked the Washington Post to change the title.
I didn't think I needed to.
At the bottom, do you see that there's another tweet from December 19th, 2018?
Yes, I do.
And in this one, it reads, I am honored to announce my role as an ACLU ambassador on women's rights. Did I read that right?
That's correct.
So you announced your ACLU ambassadorship the same day you posted the op-ed on your Twitter.
I think that was always the plan, is to attach the article with the announcement that I was an ambassador.
Your Honor, if I may, would this be a good time to stop for lunch?
No, it's too
No.
early.
Okay,
Sorry.
that's okay.
We got to keep going at least till 12:30.
Okay, that's
thank
fine,
you.
Your Honor. Thank you. Ms. Hurd, you testified yesterday about your counterclaim against Mr. Depp in this case. Do you remember that testimony?
Yes, I do.
Your counterclaim is based on 3 statements made by Mr. Depp's attorneys, Adam Waldman. Is that right?
That's correct.
We looked at those 3 statements yesterday, right?
That's correct.
And the first statement was from an April 8th, 2020 article, right?
That's correct.
And that's Defendant's Exhibit 1245 that's been previously admitted. Would you please pull that up? Thank you. If we could please publish that. Thank you. We can scroll down to the 8th page. Mr. Waldman's statement is buried on the 8th page of a 12-page article. Is that right, Ms. Hurd?
I don't know how many pages are here.
Well, this is the 8th page. Let's go to the 12th. Let's pull up, please, Defendant's Exhibit 1246, which has already been admitted. And if we could please go to Mr. Waldman's statement on page 10. And go on to page 11 of a That's Mr. Waldman's statement, right?
That is correct. Okay. I think it's Mr. Waldman speaking on behalf of Johnny, yes.
You don't have any evidence of that, do you, Ms. Hurd? This is Mr. Waldman's statement, right?
I think it's included in the article as well.
That this is Mr. Waldman's statement, correct?
That a representative or an attorney, I don't know which word it says in the article, that it says very clearly that they're speaking on behalf of Johnny or representing Johnny.
Can we please pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 8818, 881A, excuse me. If we could please go to page 8 of this article. Sorry, Your Honor. May I just
All right.
approach?
Yes, ma'am.
We'll come back to this. Sorry, Ms. Hurd. Sorry, Your Honor.
All right. Yes, ma'am.
Let's go ahead and take this down, please. Thanks. You testified yesterday about how your reputation was before these 3 statements were made, correct?
Yes, I did.
Okay. You testified that your career was going very well before.
I think I said the trajectory was positive, yes.
You testified you had a global campaign for L'Oreal, right?
That is correct.
You testified you were waiting on a schedule for Aquaman 2.
That is correct.
You testified you were scheduled to do a press tour for the TV show The Stand.
Press obligations, yes.
And then you testified that after the articles, you were no longer actively involved in the L'Oreal campaign. Isn't that right?
They suspended using my material.
And that you were no longer involved in the publicity surrounding The Stand after the articles, right?
That's correct.
And you didn't hear anything about the schedule for Aquaman 2.
Correct.
Ms. Hurd, you have no evidence that Mr. Waldman's 3 statements are the reason you are allegedly no longer active in the L'Oreal campaign, do you?
Well, I mean, other than my awareness that they can't use me because of all of the online attention that generated.
And you have no evidence that Mr. Waldman's 3 statements are the reason that the Stand media opportunities allegedly stopped, do you?
Yeah, I know they couldn't attach my name to their promotional materials because of the online stuff.
In fact, there was a lot of reasons why you were no longer active in these endeavors. Isn't that right?
I disagree with that.
Reasons that had absolutely nothing to do with Mr. Waldman's statements. Isn't that right?
I disagree with that.
There was a lot of publicity about your relationship with Mr. Depp around the time Mr. Waldman made the 3 statements at issue, right?
I do not recall.
A lot of really negative publicity for you, Ms. Hurd. Isn't that right?
There's been an ongoing smear campaign, yes.
An ongoing negative publicity campaign.
It's an orchestrated smear campaign.
You have no evidence of that, do you, Ms. Hurd?
Just look me up, you'll see.
Let's take a look at some of that.
All right.
It appears that they have quite a bit of evidence at the stand to discuss with the judge. So we are sitting here waiting for them
It appears that they have quite a bit
to come back. As you can see, the audience is packed full. There are bloggers in the courtroom. Well, and there are fans in the courtroom. One thing we have seen during this course, we have to give Amber a kudos to page 64. She knew exactly what page and where it was. It was like it was committed to memory. When Attorney Vasquez asked her the question, said, you didn't testify to this. And she said, yes, I did on page 64. So everybody, we're going to say page 64. That is fun. That is funny. So they should be back. Well, they're here, but they are at the bench discussing evidence that should be brought in and how it should be brought in. It's good to also see the audience and that there are so many people in there. The court only allows 100 people in. And from our understanding, that people were standing in line early morning to secure their spot at the trial that's being held in Virginia. And so it is definitely a lot of people. People are still outside. And so what do you think about the testimony so far? Let's discuss. Tell me what you think. What are your thoughts? I was really disturbed regarding when he was trying to get in his car. Get out of his car to go in his house to spend time with his daughter. And she begged him for like an hour and before she left, not to go. And then the continuous bombardment of text messages to him in which he was not answering. I feel that if she was afraid he was going to do drugs during all of this, she never mentioned that. So I don't know. You all tell me. Tell me what the situation is, because I'm a little disheartened by so much. It's like obsessive behavior. If someone wouldn't let me go for like an hour, I would just be, wow. I wouldn't answer their text messages either. I'm just saying, I don't, maybe this is just it's a different type of relationship. Because baby, that is stalkish harassment behavior to me. And I just can't get with it. So we have, today I'm up here. Generally, I'm not up here. But there's so much dead space in here because they are at the bench discussing. I wish they would have taken the lunch early. We are going to do a new stream for the afternoon, and it will be down in the link. In the chat. It'll be the pinned comment, so you can just go over to part 2 for today. It's going to be titled Round 3, Day 2. So hopefully they're going to get back at this really soon, and the link will be down at the bottom. They really just need to go to lunch.
So, Ms. Heard, my last question to you was that there was a lot of negative publicity for you around the time that Mr. Waldman made these statements. Isn't that correct?
I believe that they were made I mean, I believe that the statements kind of kept being attached to new defamatory, or, articles that were like smear campaign sort of attack articles is what it.
Okay. Let's go through some of the articles that were out in the press. So, Plaintiff's Exhibit 1267. Could just publish that just for the witness. That would be great. Thank you. This is an article published on February 2nd, 2020, and the title is hashtag Justice for Johnny Depp trends after Amber Heard admits to hitting actor in audio clip. Do you see that?
I see that.
And if we can go to Plaintiff's Exhibit 1268. This one was published on February 3rd, 2020. It reads the title, Amber Heard admits to hitting Johnny Depp in recording.
Yeah,
Do you see
that's
that?
when his lawyer leaked an edited tape.
Ms. Heard, do you see the title? Amber Heard admits to hitting Johnny Depp in recording. Do you see that?
I see the title.
Okay. If we could please go to Plaintiff's Exhibit 1269. This one was published on March 17th, 2020. Amber Heard slammed door into Johnny Depp's head, reveals new audio. Do you see that?
Yeah, these are more of the PR plans.
Let's go to 1270. This one was published on March 31st, 2020. Amber Heard to be sacked from Jason Momoa's Aquaman after Johnny Depp's controversy, reports. Do you see that?
I do.
We can go to Plaintiff's Exhibit 1271. See the title that says, Johnny Depp says ex-wife Amber Heard sliced his finger off, and it, quote, erupted like the Vesuvius?
I just don't know when that was. I've never seen that article.
We can go to 1272. This one was published on May 29th, 2020, and it says, when Amber Heard confessed to smashing a door into Johnny Depp's head, clocking him in the jaw. Do you see that?
I see that.
Going to 1275. This one was published on July 15th, 2020. Amber Heard stole my sexual assault story. Ex-aide tells libel trial. Do you see that?
This was Adam Waldman as well.
It doesn't say Mr. Waldman. It actually says Kate James also says she often received abusive text messages from Johnny Depp's ex-wife, doesn't it?
I just know because he threw down the article.
Ms. Heard, isn't that what that
Mr.
says?
Waldman threw the newspaper at me afterwards.
Ms. Heard, that's not my question.
What
my
was
question
your question?
is,
I'm sorry.
The title of the article says, Amber Heard stole my sexual assault story, ex-aide tells libel trial. Kate James also says, Your Honor, she opened the door by saying it was Adam Waldman.
I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
Okay. Let's go to Plaintiff's Exhibit 1276. Amber Heard admits to hitting fucking baby Johnny Depp in court audio. Do you see that, Ms. Heard?
That's correct.
Okay. Let's go to 1277. Published July 28th, 2020. Amber Heard's sister thought she was going to kill Johnny Depp, claims a witness. Do you see that, Ms. Heard?
I see that.
And 1278. Published on July 28th, 2020. Johnny Depp was the victim of abuser Amber Heard, London's High Court told. Do you see that?
I do see that.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Go ahead and take our lunch recess then. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll go ahead and take our hour lunch recess at this point. Do not discuss the case with anybody and don't do any outside research. Okay, we'll see you in an hour.
Okay, everyone, like I stated, we're going to end this stream and we'll start back at 1:30 with the new stream. The comment in the comment section I'll pin the comment, the new link to the new stream in the comment section. Hope you all have enjoyed this. Go get you some lunch. Enjoy yourself. And we'll see you back here. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and make sure you turn on the notification button. So whenever we go live, you'll know that we're live. And we will see you back here at 1:30. And I really appreciate you so much for joining us. We'll see you in about an hour.